Hey y'all, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Hey, is that you, player? Nia, in the first spot this morning. Yo, I feel like this is your debut. I feel like this your first time ever being in the first spot. What's up? You looking good up there, baby. Hey Jada, good morning.
Oh,
Miss Simone.
good morning, everyone. Hey, Miss Joni.
Yo, happy Tuesday.
Tuesday.
How
Okay.
you feeling today?
It's going to be a terrific Tuesday. Okay.
Yo, it is definitely going to be a terrific Tuesday. I like that. Terrific Tuesday. Yo, do my eyes deceive me? Yo, guess who number one, yo?
Come on. Tell me who it is.
Ania, yo.
Oh,
Exactly. Exactly. I'm like, is that you, player?
over there. What you doing over there?
Yo, that baby got the number one spot. I feel like this her debut, yo.
Absolutely. I'm excited for you, baby. Take the first spot, okay?
Yeah. Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Kamaya Success Sessions. Yo, shout out to Kamaya because she connected directly with Mr. Seth, who was on yesterday. Yeah, so she's interested in that construction, agriculture world, and all that. So shout out to you, babe. Bree, good morning. We hit Bree with that $100 over her head yesterday. Knocked her out the top spot. That's a daggone shame. Yo,
Count her money, okay?
right? Sis was counting her coins. Like, hold up. Right? Good morning, Cam. Yo, shout out to Cam too, because Cam also connected with Mr. Seth. So we might be seeing chaos smoothies in like Wise, Giant, Whole Foods. Who knows? Like
Worldwide. We need it.
worldwide at this point. I love it. Good morning, Keon. Good morning, Poet. Good morning, Maya. Good morning, Mira. Good morning, Elder. Good morning, Lamar. Good morning, Ania again, yo. She made sure, yo, baby girl took the top spot and came down to like number 10 for real. Was like, let me make, she was like, let me make sure everybody see me.
I am here. That's what I'm
Right?
talking about, okay?
Right. Good morning, Isis. Good morning, Ari. Yo, shout out to Ari because Ari was the first one that responded to my post yesterday. So she's going to be an official recruiter for the Leonard E. Hicks Community Center. So she's going to help them recruit for their photography program and a STEAM program that they have.
So, what can you tell us more about that, or is that later?
Oh,
Really sorry.
she the recruiter, so she gonna have to tell us about it. All I know is that it's for teenagers. It's virtual now because of Corona, and she's going to be helping to recruit that. So, like people who are interested in getting your photography skills up, learning more about that, and doing project work around photography, and people who are interested in STEAM. And I feel like they are using DJs to help with the STEAM project. So it's like learning math through DJing.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, they're trying to
Yeah.
and sorry y'all, you know I always have a story really quick. There's this lady, there's this black woman, she's so popular, y'all, beautiful, a black person. It's like I wish they would stop teaching math and science in such a like they make it seem so hard. She's like, it's really not that hard. Like this computer science and coding stuff, she said it's easier to code a program than it is to give yourself your own gel manicure. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're probably right. I'm like,
Yo.
to make, but it's like if you make it digestible for people, a lot of the times numbers are numbered. Like they said, it takes more work in your brain to be creative than it is to just do some of those.
Yeah.
I'll get into it. Show these people how it's done. Put it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So she's going to get paid to recruit young people to be in those programs. So Yeah, I know. And I told the director that I had other people who were qualified and interested. So if she was able to open up more money to pay other people, that I had other people who would like to be recruiters. But like I couldn't even have that post up for 5 minutes. As soon as I put it up, like, yo, they was on. I had to take that baby down. Yeah, like let me take that down. And don't forget to remind me, Miss Simone, I got two other opportunities too to announce today. I don't want to post it on IG yet. I want to give my success session people, specifically first shift. I want to give them first dibs because there's only like 20 spots that we got. So I'm gonna talk about that. But yeah, man. Good morning, Q. Good morning, Hardcore. Good morning, Summer. Good morning, Jordan. Yo, Jordan's starting to get up a little early because Jordan used to be one of them little laggers, yo. Come like 15 minutes before we about to end. Good to see you, Jordan. Oh, yo, Corey said his screen say he number one.
Oh, geez.
Yo, send me the screenshot, yo. Send me the screenshot to my DM. That's crazy. You know what? I kind of believe it because one time Elder was like that, for real, for real. Send that to me. I gotta see. Even though my screen, the official screen, though, we gonna see.
Why are you playing with me? Let me see, but you still not number one.
Right? Poet said it says 8 people were first. Like, yo.
Cause y'all up, okay?
Yo, right? They is on it, yo. They is on it, yo. Kabaya Success Session says she joining everything. I know that's right, yo. Yo, like they doing everything. Ania said she was up at 6 o'clock waiting on the success sessions, baby. I know that's right.
Like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right? And Jada talking about something on her screen and say she number one too. And Kamaya's success session said her screen say it's number one. Yo, send me these screenshots, yo. Yo, DM me these screenshots, yo. YouTube is playing with my life, y'all.
Oh.
They playing with my, but this is good stuff though, y'all. We got more surprises coming. So y'all keep being consistent. Y'all keep showing up. Keep telling your friends and all that stuff. And this is how it is, man. Yo, it felt so good yesterday talking to the mayor's office, and they was like, yo, when we need people to lead projects, we already know what organization it comes to. We ain't talking about people that's just working, just, you just taking orders and doing. They talking about leading the projects. And I'm like, yo, I'm glad y'all recognizing now, like that's what we do. We build leaders, son.
Miss Joni, tell the people, okay?
Hello, we building leaders, son.
Period.
Right? Period, man. Period. Good morning, Nate. What's up, baby? We see you. Oh, man. Don't forget to let me talk about those announcements, Miss Simone.
I made a slide for it, so we won't forget.
All right, bet. So we got Miss Caitlin knocking at the door. Yo, Miss Caitlin is a beast. She getting everybody on grade level around here. Yo, what? People go back and watch her stuff. That's how good she is. Miss Caitlin!
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
What's up? We doing great, man. Good to see you early again.
See you. Yeah. I was just watching y'all saying good morning to everyone. It was cracking me up.
Because they crazy. This is what they do to us in the morning, Miss Caitlin.
Yeah. Also, I do want to, Miss Simone, you were talking earlier about how it's easier to code a program than to give yourself a gel manicure. And I think that is so true because I feel like every time, Joni can like attest to this, every time we're just going over rules in our academic session, like these are the rules for math. And if you do those rules, you like get the answer to the problem, right? And that's just not how it is when you're being creative. There are no rules. So yeah.
Okay, but yo, Miss Kayla is such a good teacher, yo. Like she make you want to know it and want to do it. And like, I'm like, okay, I know what an exponent is, yo. Yo, I can talk about DNA. I can talk about the proteins that make up the DNA
Let's
and how it
go.
changed. Yo, like, yeah, like, yo, I've never been able to talk about that, do that, like, huh? Yo, yeah,
Miss
y'all
Caitlin,
better get with her. I'm trying to tell y'all.
it's not easy. Like, that's a testament to your knowledge, because not only do you know it, but you're able to teach people in a way that's welcoming and opening, not trying to make them feel like they don't know. Like, that is true teaching and leadership. So
Yo, our own celebrity Ma said he learned more from her success sessions than he did all year in school, yo. Our own in-house celeb. Right?
where is Markway? Is he knocking at the door?
You know, he the manager. He not knocking. Ma, where you at, yo? You a little too lit now. He probably got a call with Kevin Hart or something.
He already out in Hollywood. We didn't even know.
Right? Yo, Maya in here singing Miss Caitlin praises, yo. She passed with an A+ on her math, yo. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Keon said not all teachers are like that. I know, Keon. I'm trying to tell you. You can tell when somebody really cares about you, yo, and they really want you to know because they want you to know.
Like, no. So then y'all
Exactly.
Exactly.
And we waiting on Too Lit, Ma?
No, we're gonna get started. Yeah.
You sure? Oh, okay.
Absolutely, because we never have enough time.
You right about that, Miss Simone. You right. Let me.
We've been up since 6 o'clock in the morning. We not waiting any longer.
No wait zone.
But Miss Caitlin, I have our PowerPoint from last week, part 2. I added a few questions that we had talked about last week, but we didn't get to go in depth about. And then if anybody else has questions that come to mind, anything, we could just do a discussion style, half PowerPoint style. But I just want y'all to feel empowered when it comes to health as a lifestyle and getting your questions answered from someone who actually studies nutrition and wellness, not just what's ever on Instagram and doing these fasting diets that'll have you falling out and, just how do we not gain the quarantine 15? So
Totally.
Yeah. We kind of covered these, Miss Caitlin, but if you want to just hit on them really quick, or we can go on to new questions too. Just let me know.
Yeah. So for those of you who weren't on last week, we just started talking about some nutrition things and how to have a healthier lifestyle. Mar was on and he was sort of leading this discussion about, he was just saying young people want to be healthy. We want to do the right things for our bodies, but sometimes we don't know how because there's a lot of information out there. And it feels like every time you look something up on the internet, it gives you a different answer, right? And so we're just here to provide some guidance, provide the truth, and talk about how to have healthier lifestyles and how to maintain that throughout your whole life and not just right at this moment. So I can talk about these questions, but I definitely want people to ask questions because that was what fueled the conversation last week. It was so good. People were asking so many questions for things that you're interested in. And I actually want to start by following up on a couple of those questions from last week. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. So these were some of the questions we had last week. The first one is honey a healthy sweetener? So the short answer is yes. Honey is a healthier sweetener. So say that you are drinking a cup of coffee and you want to put some sweetener in it because it's better with sweetener in it, right? So it's better to put in some honey rather than just pouring in that white sugar. And the reason is because your body can break it down easier. And it's just better for your body to process opposed to that white sugar. So honey, another one that you could put in for things if you're cooking or baking or putting it in your coffee or your tea is maple syrup. So maple syrup and honey are both healthier sweeteners than like regular sugar. So those are good alternatives.
Wait,
Hey Mar, how you doing?
I'm doing bad right now.
What's up?
So basically the Steve Harvey Foundation called me and if y'all like saw the news yesterday, I was on the WJZ news and stuff like that. And what happened was WJZ News had aired it on TV, and other news stations copied off of that and made the story even worse. So now it's like getting negative feedback, and Steve Harvey is now mad. He's kind of getting upset because different news stations are telling untruthful stories about the situation. They say that he paying a full scholarship for me to go to Howard, and that I never got bullied. I lied about getting a gun pointed on me and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that specifically Fox 45 News was saying about the situation.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
So
Oh no, absolutely not, yo.
yeah.
Absolutely, Ma. We're gonna get to the bottom of that because I was up to school and you got paperwork confirming what happened. The chief of school police know what happened. The CEO know what happened. The principals know what happened. Teachers know what happened. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, they pretty mad about it.
Well,
But I have to go through it. What you say, Miss Simone? I can't really hear you.
so much support and love behind you to make, people can get mad all they want, but at the end of the day, your truth and you have your story and you have people that are here to support you. So like Miss Joni said, we'll get to the bottom of this. You're not alone. And I'm just proud of you for telling your story. There are always going to be people who have an alternate story or have something else to say, but you know your truth and you stick to that, okay?
Thank you. That's why I came late, because I was just on the phone with the Steve Harvey Foundation with my mother, and it's like, did you told the news like that we paid a full scholarship and that you was not really robbed? And I'm like, no. Like, I was remember that I got interviewed yesterday. I told him that I wanted to go to Howard University and I want to go to an acting school. But then, Fox 45, they switched a positive to a negative thing. And that's just something my grandmother was scared of doing. They felt like Pacific news stations like to turn a positive into negative. So yeah, the Steve Harvey Foundation pretty mad about that. My parents pretty mad about that. I'm mad about it. Like, I am like really angry because I feel like, why would they even do that? Like, y'all, like, this can affect me from getting anything from the Steve Harvey Foundation or even going to Atlanta, Georgia. It's putting me in trouble, and I have nothing to do with it but like get interviewed. Like, I had no parts of it. Like, all I said is like, I want to go to Howard University. Yeah, it was some tough times at Dunbar. I'm just glad I met Steve Harvey and this and that. But other than that, they making it like seem like I was speaking bad on the Steve Harvey Foundation and that the stuff I said was not true. So I don't know if it's Dunbar doing it. I don't know if John Hopkins doing it, because they say John Hopkins had some part of doing it. But I don't know what's going on. At this point, I know I'm just mad, my family mad, and the Steve Harvey Foundation is mad about this situation.
They
So,
not blaming you, are they?
um,
Steve
it
Harvey.
it sound like they blaming me, but I just like they was like finding out like did they like switch the story around, because if y'all watched the news yesterday on WJZ, I literally didn't say all those things. So they switched the news around, and putting me underneath the bus basically. So I don't know if they blaming me or not. It sounded like they blaming me, but I was just telling them like that I never said that, and like those things are not true, and now other news stations are picking up on this, and it's not okay.
Yo, that is crazy, yo. That is crazy.
And this is
That is crazy.
And I remember you were worried a little bit about doing the interview because you're like, we even called the news station in the morning and asked,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to be asking Mar why are you talking? Because they said they want to talk to Hopkins and they were going to talk to Crystal Ray. We're like, well, can you give us a better understanding of why you need all those people if the story is about to be? And the lady was she was so nice, like, oh, don't worry, and we're gonna figure it out, and we're just gonna ask you questions about your story. You don't have to talk about you. And for them to like go and do this, it hurts. That's exactly why people feel distrustful about any opportunities.
Exactly. And this is the type of like oppression that people who are scared to use their voice like feel. Like this is why people are afraid to talk out about things that are happening to them, because you got to fear these type of repercussions from this big system that clearly don't care about you, because if you did, then the boy wouldn't even have a problem. I wouldn't have been up in that school fussing with people and spending my money to try to talk to the bullies myself. I'm telling the teachers and then move out the way. I want to talk directly to them, to the perpetrators, because unlike most people, I know that they just misguided. And I'm talking to them about culture and the environment and who's in charge of safety and making sure that people have a safe place to go, even when they don't. And they making me into the villain. So Ma, I already feel you. I already feel you, but this is not going to be a setback for you. If anything, this is going to be an even greater come up and more to add to your story about why it's important for young people specifically to be truthful and to speak about what's happening, because it ain't right. Because if we don't talk about it, if we don't expose it, it's just going to keep happening. And I feel so bad for the poor little souls that don't have your courage, Ma. For the poor little kids that got to go in there and sit and suffer because they don't know that they have an option. They don't know that they have a voice, and they scared to use their voice. Don't you get scared, man. You got a whole army behind you. Don't you be afraid.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was like not trying to make it by myself. They even actually they put it on the news yesterday. I said like I want to do this for the community, the schools, and for people that's want to do the same thing I'm going through, basically. And now this can affect me from going to LA, because this lady asked me to get for a scholarship to go to LA to work with her yesterday, and this can affect me from doing that. This can affect me from going to Atlanta, Georgia this summer or any summers. This can affect me from getting anything from Steve Harvey, because
This ain't gonna do nothing but give you more blessings, man. Even if Steve Harvey got to be put in the ashes, so what? This ain't going to do nothing but make your story even more powerful and even more relevant for people to talk about, and encourage other young people to come out with their stories and talk about it. Nah, ain't no celebrity going to define you. It was nice, and I hope and pray that Steve Harvey and them people reconcile it on their end and that they end up on the right side of the tracks. But if they don't, forget them too. We ain't about to rest everything on old Steve Harvey. He cool, but Steve who? No. Not at all. Especially when I witnessed it. So what they gonna call you and me a liar? We both lied?
No, they're not calling me a liar, basically. They saying that the news are telling some untruthful stories. So they say like if anything, if any news stations come at you, please let them know, because it was like a lot of people, they like, put the negative stories out there. That's not true.
Yeah, that ain't your fault. Unless they got you on a clip or something like that saying something, somebody else trying to interpret it, that's not your fault. You can't be responsible for what these people are making up just so that they can keep a job and so they can keep certain people in power. That ain't your fault.
Thank you for sharing with us, Mara. You've been very vulnerable and transparent. So if you stick to that truth at the core, things will work out in your favor, okay? And like you said, like all this status and celebrity and stuff, Steve Harvey just trying to cover himself and make sure, but don't let that who you are and whose you are, and the world doesn't define you, okay? And that's why you have a team of people. And we thank you, Ms. Joni, for creating this platform, because we don't have to wait to come to someone else's table. We have our own table right here and platform where we can let youth share their story and their experiences without any of the BS. So you're gonna be okay. But I'm very sorry this is happening. I am. And I thank you for sharing so that you can help someone else in the future.
Mhm. Yo, new level, new devil. And he bigger and better, ain't he?
New level, new level. He just won't. And that's what Steve better not be because he was really preaching yesterday. He was
He
just
was preaching. And now's the time for him to take his own advice, yo. And to pour into this young man and not contribute to the situation that's trying to tear him down. Like his people should be comforting him, telling him like, yo, this is
Oh,
okay.
guys,
Like we go through this all the time.
I'm so sorry. Miss Alicia calling me right now.
Okay, go ahead, Ma. Handle your business, manager.
Thank you.
love you.
Yo,
Y'all. It's
heated, yo. Heated.
ridiculous. That's what really we can't have nothing.
Can't have nothing, yo.
Nothing changes. You speak up, now you're the bad guy. No, not today. Not with this family and support system we have.
No, no.
Supported. Please speak up because we will go to bat.
Yo, the heartbeat's going off. They already making phone calls and all that. Kamaya's success sessions over here, like, yo, I'm on hold. I'm staying on hold for as long as I have to. Yo, they calling somebody. I don't know who they calling, yo, but they calling somebody. Yo, they going off. That's right, y'all. That is absolutely right.
Yeah, come.
Right? And I'm gonna find that one video too of that one kid of him getting bullied online, and I'm gonna send that to him too. Like, look, like, what somebody gotta lie for? First of all, a young Black man is already is gonna have a hard time being that vulnerable and talking about, you know, they feeling less than and they getting bullied and they fearful for their life. A young Black man is already gonna have a hard time coping with that. And he came out and actually talked about it. Why would he lie about something like that? And then got plenty of witnesses.
Too many. That's
Too many. Got a whole thread with school police in my phone. Thank God I don't be deleting important threads.
Oh Jesus.
Yo, we seeing it firsthand, y'all. We got a front row seat
To the foolishness.
to the foolishness, all of it. Get your popcorn.
Yeah. Okay, one more preaching point, and then we're gonna try to flip this back to healthy lifestyle. But
Yeah, we gotta get back to healthy lifestyle. If anything, we really need it now because everybody about to be eating junk food.
No, and stress. Yeah, don't because I know that's what happens when I get stressed. I'm like, forget it all. Let me just eat whatever I want, and we'll try this again next month. Okay. But guys, this is exactly why we tell you there are real forces out here that are trying to combat that want to see you lose. Okay, not everyone is on your team, everyone is not on your side. And I'm sure y'all know that and feel that a little bit too much than you should. So just please continue to do what you're supposed to do and don't be afraid to speak up because we got y'all and what you have to say is powerful.
Exactly. Yo, they calling Fox 45, yo.
Oh, please, yeah. Tell them we have something to say, and it's not nice. Okay, let me stop.
Yo.
This is on live.
Sorry, Miss Caitlin. I'm so
This
sorry.
is way more important. This is honestly way more important. And if we need to keep talking about this, that's totally fine with me.
Yeah. How do the heartbeats feel? Are y'all okay? Are y'all good? Do you want to go on? Do we have anything else? Cause
yeah, they going off. They forming their own little thing, y'all. It's going. It's like calling right now. Hey. Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's get back into our healthy, y'all, so we can make sure that while we raising hell, we being healthy about it.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Miss Caitlin.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if there are things, if we need to make space for this, that's totally cool with me. I do not need to do this right now. This can be any day. So just so we know, just depending on what the heartbeats want. But I will touch on one point that Miss Simone was just talking about of like, when you get stressed, it's a lot easier to eat junk food, right? This is actually like a thing that happens in your brain. So like, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna have such a good day, I'm gonna be super healthy, and you like can stay strong throughout the entire day, but at the end of the day you're like, man, I could really eat a cookie right now or whatever. When you get tired, when your brain gets tired, you lose that willpower, and there's actually a change that happens in your brain that makes you be like, it's okay, it's okay. So just keep that in mind. Like when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling tired, those are the times when you're gonna drop down and you're not gonna be able to maintain that healthy lifestyle. Which is why it's important to like build the habits, get enough sleep, those kinds of things, so you can stay strong, you can stay up at the top. Yeah. Okay. Gosh, I'm just thinking about Mar right now, but I'm back in it. I'm back in it. Okay. There are a couple things up here that I want to talk about: the flat tummy tea and waist trainers. Both of these things you've probably seen online. You've probably seen celebrities either using them or wearing them or whatever. So I want to come out and tell you right now that they don't work. Okay. I know, look at Miss Simone, Miss Joni, they're just like floored. I know. Okay, I'm telling you right now that celebrities will claim that they work, but they're actually not healthy ways to lose weight. They're not ways to be healthy in the long run. Okay, this flat tummy tea, it like just came out, kind of, it just started becoming trendy. Well, the government actually has like, it's called the Food and Drug Administration. It's this part of the government that approves whether or not things are healthy for us to eat, okay? Healthy for us to put in our bodies. The flat tummy tea that has ingredients that are not approved. So basically this means that scientists have not said that those are okay things for our body. Okay, so when you're eating those like flat tummy shakes or drinking that flat tummy tea, you could be putting stuff in your body that could have harmful effects in the long run that people just don't know about yet. Okay, so don't buy into these like trendy diets that the celebrities are all saying, because they don't work. They could even be more unhealthy for you. Okay.
So how do we know that they safe then? Like if people can go out and buy this and drink this stuff now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess I would say that if you're gonna try a diet, you should either talk to someone who knows stuff about nutrition. So you can always ask me questions. You could always ask, like if you go to a doctor, you could ask them questions. But overall, these diet things don't work. These diet things are not the healthy way. Okay, so whenever you see those online diets and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna try that, just second guess yourself, because they're usually not the way that you should be doing it. Overall.
Miss Caitlin.
Yeah.
I kind of figured the flat tummy tea was not really, I'm like, I'm not drinking no. Anything that says it's gonna just flat tummy tea, baby, no. But the waist trainer, Miss Kate, the waist trainer, it has to work.
So I actually looked this up this morning, and I read that the waist trainer actually makes your ab muscles weaker.
What?
Yeah. Because basically, like, think about when you're moving around during the day, even if I'm just going like this, my ab muscles are working, right? When I wear that waist trainer, it's like compressing everything, right? And it's basically making my ab muscles not have to work as hard. So when I'm not working them as hard, they're basically deteriorating. They're like losing strength.
People walking around with them things on all day.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Yeah. The other thing that I heard was they are thick. They're a little bit thicker, and so they make you sweat, right? And so you think that your body is like working harder, and so you lose weight, but really what you're losing is water weight. You're sweating more, so you're losing water weight, right? But you're not actually losing any of the fat that's inside your body, right? So they're not actually effective either. Can't take it. I know, it's shocking. I'm sorry to bring it down. So Lamar asks, which would be the best type of diet? Okay, so I'm here to tell you that if you stick to eating fruits, vegetables, proteins, and whole grains, so like whole wheat and dairy, you're going to lose weight, you're going to feel healthier, you're going to feel good. So notice things that I did not name here. I did not name sugar, right? I did not name fats like fried food and butter. Those are two things that if you really want to lose weight and you really want to be healthy, you have to limit your intake. You have to limit eating both of those things. You have to limit your sugar and you have to limit your fried foods. And I know that's hard because we love fried chicken. We love French fries. We love fried food, right? I know it's the best kind. It's the best kind. And it's okay to eat it on occasion. But if you're trying to lose weight and be healthier, you got to cut those things out of your diet for the most part, which is sad. But like I said last week, being healthy, losing weight, that's hard work. And you got to keep yourself accountable for that. Yeah, so good work. So people are asking like, what kinds of diets do we recommend? Yeah, I'm just recommending if you want to lose weight, you got to eat more fruits and vegetables. Okay. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you are eating too much, your body's going to store that as fat. So sometimes it doesn't, if you're eating a lot of things, like all the time, you're feeling super full all the time, you're never going to lose weight. I'm not saying you should be hungry, but you shouldn't be eating until you're like, can't move, right? You should be eating until you feel full, and then that's it. And that sometimes means like cutting out snacks, because I know that when I get bored, I start to eat, right? Because I'm like, I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to eat a snack. But those types of behaviors, those types of things are not going to help you lose weight, not going to help you be healthy. Okay, we got another question from Kamaya Success Sessions, and she's asking, is orange juice good, and what are the benefits of it? Yeah, so it's a good question. If you are drinking orange juice that's only orange juice, then it's a good thing. Okay, but the problem is a lot of times orange juice has added sugar to it or added other chemicals. I'm thinking of like Sunny D. I don't know if y'all drink Sunny D, but Sunny D is like, yeah, it's so gross. It tastes like chemicals, but that's like not good, right? That's basically like no juice. It's all other things. So you really want to make sure that you're drinking orange juice that is like 100% juice, or any other types of juice. You want to make sure they're 100% juice, no added sugar. But I will say that eating a piece of fruit, eating an orange, is better for your body than drinking a glass of orange juice. Okay, and the reason why is because, you know, all like juice is basically just like the good sugary part of the fruit, but there's a lot of other stuff in fruit. It's called fiber, right? The fiber in the fruit that helps your body function. And it actually helps your body, well, it makes you poop, and also it helps your body digest things better. So when you're eating that piece of fruit, it's going to be healthier because it has that fiber compared to just that like delicious sugary drink from the orange juice. Okay. My mom, what about your friend? Jada, and what Jada's question is, what about for gaining weight? So for gaining weight, you still want to eat the things that are on this slide right here that you see. You still want to eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, protein, and dairy, but you just want to eat more of it. Okay, so like I said, if you are if you're trying to lose weight, you should not be eating extra calories. But if you're trying to gain weight, you should be eating more calories, right? And working out more. So, so that you're making sure that the muscle, or that the weight that you're gaining is muscle and not fat. So there's no change in the types of foods that you should be eating. You should just be eating more of them. Okay. And Jada, remember that you're still young. Your metabolism is going to slow down. So don't worry too much about gaining weight right now, because in the next couple of years, especially for teenagers, like as you get a little bit older, your metabolism changes and you start to gain a little bit more weight. One thing, Miss Joni, is this your mom that asked this question? Yeah, air frying. Air frying is actually good because you're not using all of that fat to deep fry stuff. And so air frying is a much healthier way to fry food. So if you have an air fryer, great, you should use it, is the short answer. Okay, Kamaya says she's asking this question because she has an orange and orange juice in front of her and she doesn't know which one to choose, and should she choose one or both. I would say if you're gonna choose one, choose the orange, eat the orange. Okay, that's gonna be better for you. If you have no other options, drink the orange juice, that's okay. But if you have to choose one, eat that orange, it's gonna be better. Yeah.
Is that fiber piece you said too, Miss Kent, is so key. I realize with eating fruits and vegetables, I need all the other things. And I know I used to like cook down my vegetables so much because I was like, oh, this is hard and nasty. And then I heard that they said you're cooking all the nutrients out of it. Is that true?
Yeah, so when you cook vegetables or when you cook anything, the nutrients in it change. And so if you cook something enough, like if you as an extreme example, if you burn something, that doesn't have nutrients in it anymore, right? And so think about there's like a process. So the closer it gets to burning, the fewer nutrients that it has. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't cook your vegetables. Okay. I know that there are some diets out there like the raw food diet. And that's okay. You can do that if you want, but it makes it a lot easier to eat when you cook vegetables, just like Miss Simone said, because it makes them taste better, right? Then you can add flavor to it. You can add a little bit of salt to it. And so don't be afraid to cook your vegetables, even if some of the nutrients do go away when you cook it. There's still enough of them in there.
My mother hates that I love Glory vegetables. She hates it. The canned vegetables, Glory.
You like them, Miss Joni?
I love them. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, canned vegetables are also good for you, but you got to make sure if you're looking at canned vegetables, sometimes they can have a lot of salt in them, and that salt can make your body, it can make you bloated, honestly, because salt basically makes your body fill up with water. It makes your cells fill up with water, so you got to be careful of that. But canned vegetables, double thumbs up. Eat canned vegetables. They're vegetables, so eat them up, even if they're Glory.
I have to, before we go on, so is the rule like it's best to eat fresh, then frozen, then canned? And then I don't know if this is true, but sometimes I heard because of the sodium or the sugar that they put to try to preserve it, if you like pour out all the juices and you kind of wash them and then you eat them, it's a little healthier. Is that true, or is that just a...
Absolutely true. Yeah, that's great. So like I was saying, with the canned vegetables, to preserve them, they put salt in them. And then with fruit, they put in the sugar. So if you like rinse them out either in the can or you dump them out and rinse the juice off of them, then that can make it healthier because it can reduce the amount of sodium, the amount of salt or sugar that's on them. Yeah, that's a great point. The difference between regular frying and air frying, Ania asks. So I don't have an air fryer. I've never actually used one, but basically when you're frying food, you are, and maybe Miss Joni's mom can weigh in on this if she has an opinion, but when you're frying food regularly, you basically heat up a big thing of oil and then you put the vegetables or meat or whatever into it and you take it out. And so you're cooking it in that fat. But when you're air frying it, I believe it's sort of like a box, right? And you put the thing in and then I'm not sure what happens, but it makes it really crispy. So it makes it seem like it has been fried, but you're not actually putting it in the oil. And so you're not getting that extra fat. That's what I understand. And so maybe if somebody else has a more expert opinion because they've used one, that would be great.
No, I got one. That's exactly what it is.
Is it?
Yeah, my mother got me one.
And do you like it?
Yeah, I love it actually. I put kale in there. I put apples in there. Like you throw whatever in there.
And it makes them crispy?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great. You put apples in there?
Yeah.
Huh. That's great. How long do you put the apples in for?
Oh, maybe about 20 minutes or so.
That's cool.
Or it's just tender?
Yeah, it's like tender enough for you to like pick up and just eat.
That's
yeah.
That sounds great. All right, everyone go to Miss Joni's house. just
Y'all crazy.
kidding.
Oh, I'm getting a call from all peoples, y'all.
Okay, Isis says, so to be clear, raw vegetables should be steamed rather than cooked on a pan or vice versa. Great question. So I want to say again, it's not bad if you cook them in a pan, but if you steam the vegetables, then they lose less nutrients than if you put them in a pan. So steaming is a healthier way to cook them compared to putting them in a pan. You're right, Isis. Yeah, but again, both ways are okay. Both ways are okay. I just want you to eat your vegetables. That's all I care about. Okay. Okay, I don't see any, or I'm not looking directly at the YouTube, but I don't see any other questions right at this second. But one question that is up here that somebody asked last week is, does putting lemon in your water make it better for you? The short answer is no. It doesn't make it better for you. It's not like enough lemon to do anything for your body. The reason why a lot of people say put fruit in your water is because it makes it taste better, right? It makes it taste better without adding any sugar to it. And so when it tastes better, you're going to want to drink more. And drinking water is very, 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 very important. Okay. So it doesn't make it better for you, but it makes you drink more water.
I have the live up, and Maya asks, so as a Afro-Latina, my Black family and Puerto Rican family clean the chicken before cooking it. But I saw something on the news saying that cleaning the chicken before you cook it is not good. Like it's washing it spreads salmonella. So is that true?
I don't know. Let me look really quick.
I hear different things. It's just because they say it's just the way you handle it. Like, if anything, you want to make sure when you're cooking chicken and washing it, there shouldn't be other dishes around, other vegetables. You want to like keep it contained. But I'll wait for Miss Caitlin to give the full answer.
No, yep, you hit it right on the head. So this is, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So basically, when you wash the chicken can have the bacteria, the salmonella on it. And when you wash it, it could splash onto other things. It could splash onto your hands, could splash onto the dishes, like Miss Simone was saying. And then you might not wash those things as well. And so then once you touch the dishes and then you eat with your hands or whatever, then you'll get the salmonella in your body. But that's not to say you don't have to wash your chicken or you can't wash your chicken. Just be careful and have it in the sink, right? And make sure nothing else is around. So it's okay. It's okay to wash your chicken. Just be aware of what is around you and make sure to always wash your hands, right? That's a big, big thing right now with COVID, but it's a big thing all the time.
Very good point. Okay, Ania says, so I'm a steak kind of girl. Is that somewhat healthy?
Great question. Yes, eating steak, it can be healthy because it has a lot of protein in it, and protein helps you build muscles. But I will say that steak is less healthy as a meat compared to what they call white meat, which is like poultry, like chicken or turkey. So things like ground beef and steak are going to have higher fat contents. And because they have higher fat contents, they're less healthy for you than something like chicken or turkey.
Okay. So stick to chicken and turkey if we really want to be healthy versus the red meat.
Yeah. And that's, again, not to say that you can never eat red meat, because that's ridiculous, right? If you're a steak kind of girl, then eat a steak. But on a regular basis, make sure that you're sticking to the other things like chicken and turkey.
Awesome. So I know we're running short on time. I just had these two overall questions for you, Miss Caitlin, that I wanted to get your insight on before we go.
Yeah. So how do we set healthy goals and actually achieve them? So I touched on this a little tiny bit last time, but you want to try to do two things. The first thing is make it a routine, make it a habit. So this might sound silly, but honestly, if you write out a calendar and every day that you say you want to work out, right? If you work out, you put a check mark in the box. And then every time you get 5 check marks in a box or 7 check marks, then you give yourself a reward, give yourself a treat, right? And after a while, you won't need that calendar anymore because every day you'll know, oh, I'm going to work out. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go for a run, anything like that. So 1, make it a routine. Okay. 2, have someone that can help keep you accountable. So I know that we got to keep ourselves accountable, and this is for us, but it's a lot more helpful if you have someone who can say, hey, did you eat your vegetables today? Or, hey, did you go for a walk today? Because if somebody else is asking you that, I mean, it sounds bad, but like you might feel a little guilty, right? And if you're feeling a little guilty, it's going to motivate you to start building that routine. So my biggest 2 pieces of advice are make it a habit and have someone, have a friend or a family member help keep you accountable for that.
And then I saw Ania asked, what about ham? My mom said it has a lot of sodium. If you eat a lot, you can die.
So it's not like you're dying from the ham. Just so you know. Yes, your mom is right in that it does have a lot of sodium in it. Ham is one of those meats that you want to set aside with the steak and the ground beef. You can eat it sometimes, but not all the time because it does have a lot of sodium, has a lot of salt in it. Yeah, but something like a pork chop is more on the side of the chicken and the turkey. It has less sodium. Okay. Cool. So talking about this one, how do we maintain a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, just really quickly, and then we can.
Maintaining a healthy lifestyle. I would say that once you have done both things that I talked about before, when you make it a habit and when you have someone accountable, then maintaining a healthy lifestyle is going to be easy. But, and I'll end on this, like you have to want it for yourself, right? And that's the biggest thing for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. If you don't actually want it, then you're not going to do it, right? So if you want it for yourself, then you will be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Miss Caitlin. This is so helpful. And I feel like, it just gets right down to the basics. Like we always see that food chart, but it's just like, okay, that's cute. But just to know like anything that's foundational about health, just go to that food chart and just try to think, am I getting my meat just a little bit, my vegetables, my fruits, my grain, drink water, having that accountability person, and we can do it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me. If you see something online and you're like, well, I don't know what to make of this, you can always reach out to me and ask me, and I'll always give you an honest answer.
You're the best. We thank you and appreciate you so much, Ms.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Miss Caitlin. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Do we have time? You want to give your jewel, Miss Caitlin? We're supposed to talk about the opportunities, and there's a survey I know we want the Heartbeats to do. So I don't know if we have time. Miss Shoni, you.
Yeah, it's all good. The survey is going to be in all the video links. And all you got to do is click the video links. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, Miss Caitlin got to do her jewel, y'all.
Yeah. It always stresses me out. I'm just going to come back because I keep thinking about Mar. Just don't let people get you down. Don't let people get you down. You have a support system with this family, with the HeartSmiles family. So lean on us. We're here for you. And keep fighting because there are going to be people who are against you all the time. So you got to keep fighting and you got to keep working for yourself and for your family.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. And don't y'all worry because they called me. That's why I had dipped off real quick. But they called me, so I told them they're gonna have to call me back. But they just want me, Steve Harvey people want me to just kind of verify what happened with the situation. So I'm going to let them know everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Joni.
Yeah, no, thank y'all. Thank y'all. This is important.
Yes. All right, babies. Well, I know y'all want to hear about the opportunities.
Oh, yeah. I gotta talk about those.
Yeah, so I don't know. You want to do it now? We don't have, I don't know. I just want y'all to know that you are important and you are valued and always tell your story, even your health story. Okay. Empower
Yeah, story.
a lot. It's hard. We're trying to do so many things. We want to be successful. We want to have healthy relationships. We want to be healthy and, live a long life. But I feel like all a part of that
Mhm.
real and honest with yourself and other people about where you are and asking for help when you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Miss Simone, I can do the announcements real quick. And it's crazy, y'all, because our next guest coming up is from North Avenue. She's a top person at Baltimore City Public Schools. She like right under the CEO, which the CEO, she had to cancel on us for tomorrow, but she's rescheduling for to come back in a few weeks. But like, how great is that to have somebody that's in charge of like youth engagement and all that to talk about the issue that we're going through right now. Right. So
Okay,
it's coming around full circle, y'all.
good. We're gonna be all right.
Yes. Yes. All right. So I got 3 minutes to do that. So we go. See you, Miss Caitlin. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
Two
Bye.
o'clock. All right, y'all. Real quick announcements before our guests come on. The first one is um, YouthWorks. YouthWorks is looking to hire some youth leaders to do this work from home project where you are basically going to help redesign for people who are going to be doing youth works in the summer. You're going to be making that portal youth friendly. The portal is already built out. It's like this training portal where you go and you do like different classes and stuff. So one class might be resume building, another class might be around customer service, right? And those are going to be some of the classes that people are going to be doing this year for YouthWorks, since we're not going to be able to have a lot of people out at physical sites. We got to give them work to do at home. But the problem is that portal is not necessarily kid friendly, and it doesn't look like anything that young people are going to be excited about, that they want to do. So YouthWorks is asking us to bring on 20 young people who can be leaders for projects to help redesign this whole thing. So you would basically be giving your input, looking at this portal, dissecting it, taking the portal apart, and helping them to redesign the portal. We only got 20 spots. It's going to be a work from home situation, and you have to have previously participated in YouthWorks because you're going to get paid through the YouthWorks system. So if you can kind of think of a situation where you are going to be starting YouthWorks before YouthWorks start, and you're going to be helping YouthWorks to get started, that's what that is about. So I'll have a sign up link ready for that later on, but I'm giving you guys first dibs. So if I get all 20 leaders from this group, then I'm not even going to post it on Instagram for anybody else to go through it. I'm just going to leave it with you guys. Q, I see you. How old do you have to be? You got to be that YouthWorks age. So whatever the YouthWorks age is, that's how old you got to be. I think that's up to like 21 or 22. But the big thing is you have to have participated in YouthWorks previously, so that way you can get paid. And it's going to be work from home. So you're going to have a lot of flexible in terms of your schedule. And that's why they really need leaders, people who are going to be able to manage themselves. You're not going to have a whole lot of direction, people on your back. All right. So if you're interested in that, let me know. The second opportunity, and this one specific, is for people who are my music people, the arts people. So we had a call yesterday with our hip hop public health partners, and they want to do something specifically for young people. And the exact line was, We're going to have some young artists from HeartSmiles, and we're going to work on getting some iconic people from the industry to come and join them on a song, on a track. Now, obviously, the song is going to be around something health related and something positive, because that's what they do. But this is an amazing opportunity to work with somebody like Justin Timberlake, like Ashanti, like Puff Daddy. Like, this is an amazing, amazing, amazing opportunity. And I'm only going to be picking artists, even though we have a lot of talented people, I'm only going to be picking artists who are joining success sessions and who are already proven that they are investing in themselves. Because while you may have the talent, I would not feel comfortable putting you in the room with those type of big names and those type of icons, and you don't even have basic leadership skills on how to handle yourself and how to present yourself well. So people who's interested in that, stay close, because we definitely want to make sure that that happens. Jada, how did it affect summer jobs? We already have. It won't affect summer jobs you already have. If anything, you just got to determine whether or not you can balance both. Our next guest is coming up, y'all. Miss Tina. And then also, if you guys were interested in what Mr. Seth was talking about yesterday with the farm, I got to connect with the people at the farm. They need help at the farm. So if you want that contact, let me know and I got you. Yeah, we getting Miss Tina on here, y'all. We about to be all right. Moving right on along. There we go. Hey, Miss Tina.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm blessed. Can't complain at all. Thank you so, so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us today.
Absolutely.
This is so amazing.
I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It looked like you at work.
I'm at home. My dining room.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, hold up, that looked like the conference room.
Nope, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Nope.
Hey.
Repping my hometown from Nebraska. Yes.
Yeah. Keep it nice and real. I love it.
Right.
I love it. I love it. That is amazing. So we normally never have enough time for these type of sessions. So I'm just going to kind of get right into it and then allow our young people just to kind of ask questions and just really kind of keep the conversation as real and authentic as possible, if that's all right with you.
Yep. Happy to do it. Let's do it.
Cool. And this is like my first time officially meeting you too. So I'm interested in learning and knowing some things too.
It's fantastic. So, we've only done email, right? We haven't actually met in person.
Only done email.
Yeah.
That's about it. So this is pretty cool. So let's just kind of go back a little bit. Okay. I'll give you a warning. Our young people, they like for you to spill all the tea. So like they want to know like,
all right,
where you came from, what was your childhood like, you know, what kind of led you to do the type of work that you're doing. So if we could just kind of start there, and Heartbeats, y'all put your questions in the chat and I'll make sure that we answer as many questions as we possibly can.
And are you monitoring the chat? Let me know, or should I be monitoring the chat also?
No, I got the chat gonna get crazy, real crazy. I got you, don't even worry about it.
Yep. It's hard to manage chat and talk at the same time.
Oh my God, I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy.
Yeah. Okay. So to start with how I grew up, where I came from, background, right?
Yeah, please, if you don't mind. That would be
absolutely. Great. So I was born in Nebraska, which I always have a caveat. Yes, there are Black people from Nebraska. And as a note, Malcolm X is from Nebraska. And so when everybody ever asks me, well, wait, you're Black and from Nebraska? I'm like, Malcolm X was too. So there you go. Yes. But I was born, my mom was 16 when she had me. She was in high school. My mother is white, my father is Black. They were both in high school when I was born. And so, you know, my grandparents really had a strong presence in my life because my mom was so young when she had me, that growing up there, you know, it was, my father was around until I was about 2. And then he moved away and I had very limited interaction with him growing up. My mom was my rock, right? And my grandmother, who unfortunately, my grandmother passed away in February. And my mom passed away when I was 29. My sister and brother were born after me a long time because she was so young. So mom was 24 when she had my sister, and then 28 when she had my brother. So they are 9 and 12 years younger than I am. So when I lost my mom, they were both 21 and 19, 18. Yeah, so
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, we're very tight, and I have always been a pseudo parent with them as well, almost co-parenting with my mother. But yeah, it was interesting growing up in Nebraska, being one of, in my high school, there were a total, it was 3,000 students, no, 1,500 students, and there were a total of about 8 Black students at the whole school, which is
Wow.
really opposite to where our students are, right? But I appreciated at least that the teachers and the folks that I had at school saw promise in me. And so they fed me, right? I got to be on sports teams and student government and always had a job. So I at least got the support I needed. But I will say growing up in that space was a challenge because not having a Black community to connect to and identify with and have support was challenging. And then, having back then we had more nuclear families where you had a mom and a dad and whatever. And I didn't have that, right? So I think growing up, it was a struggle just to sort of, find my place in the world. And it wasn't until college where I began to really sort of find my own path and my own way, what was important to me. And I think even, and I'll be real honest, you just spill the tea, like, I think when I first got to college, my Blackness was even questioned because I had been steeped in whiteness, right? I mean, if you are in a community that is entirely white and you are at a school that's entirely white, I think I had 2 Black teachers my entire career, both of whom were amazing and took significant interest in me. And I had white teachers do the same thing, but just to say, you're steeped in whiteness, it's like, does Blackness show up in a certain way? Do you need to be a certain thing to be Black? And I want our young people to know that that isn't the case. Like, your Blackness is identifying by culture and, and your history and who you are, but how you show up is how you show up. And Black doesn't mean one thing. It can mean so many different things. I remember I loved school. Like, I loved, learning and whatnot. And so people were like, oh, you're acting white. I'm like, I'm sorry. How is it that because I love school, that means I'm acting white, right? Like, we're associating positive things with whiteness and somehow not with Blackness. And so I just offer to the young people, it's really important to sort of figure out your own path and figure out who you are and what is important to you. And that's okay, right? So yeah, that's a little bit. I went to college at Northwest Missouri State University, little rural town in Missouri. I will say I had no one walking me through the path of college. Like, no one in my family had gone to college before. My mom's family or my dad's family had never been. My mother and my uncle and my grandfather and my grandmother all worked at the University of Nebraska, which I told you I'm showing my little hometown Nebraska shirt. My mom was a cafeteria worker, so was my grandmother. My uncle and my grandfather worked in the mailroom, right? And so no one helped me figure out the path to like apply to college even, or how to do this. And luckily I had good grades. And my husband will say that my college counselor, high school counselors kind of failed me because they were like, this little Black girl needs to go to college. Let's help her figure this out. And they didn't do that. But I will tell you, a recruiter came from my college to speak to my high school. And he said, let's go look at your transcript. I said, okay, we'll go. Campus office, he looked at me, he goes, I'll give you a scholarship. And I said, okay. And I signed the paper. That's how I found my college. And it could have been a miserable experience, but it was actually really fortuitous. I was very lucky because I ended up at a small rural school, larger Black population than I was with in high school, but still not large. But I just had a community that was really, really supportive of me. And so I ended up going to school there. I literally went to that school. The very first day I went there was the first day that I went there. Like, I didn't go visit. I didn't know what the dorms were like. I didn't know anybody. I showed up. My mom and grandma dropped me off. And I was like, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, right? So, and I paid for college myself, right? Through student loans. I had a job the whole time. Managing that is a struggle, but it was also fun because I didn't know what I didn't know. And then while I was there, now I'm gonna tell my age a little bit. The Rodney King riots were happening in Los Angeles when I was in college, right? And for young people who don't know what happened, Rodney King was beaten up by a police officer, several police officers, and was brutally beaten. And it actually caused a series of civil unrest in Los Angeles. And so at that same moment, I was applying for a Minority Leaders Fellowship scholarship in DC, where I could go to Capitol Hill and intern for someone. I had to apply for an internship, but the school had to pay for it. And I remember going to my president of my college to ask for them to do this. And it was fortuitous because I'm like, well, you know, he's like, I'll sign it right now. He's like, I don't need any pushback from any Black people now. We're going to go ahead and sign this paper. And so I got to go to DC for a whole semester of college and work on Capitol Hill for a senator from Nebraska who was a Democrat. Not that that matters, but I was also part of this amazing community of people of color who had come from across the country to be part of this program. And I first time met one of my best friends in the world is Dominican. I didn't even know what Dominican was until I had gotten there. She asked me if I was Dominican. I'm like, what is that? Right. I mean, just, you know, you talk about sheltered, right?
Wow.
But just being around the community of people of color in that space was really, really powerful and amazing. And then I'll get to the end. So I then went back home and I'm like, oh, I can't stay here anymore. Like, I need to be around people of color. Like, I need this in my life on a regular, and it's not like this random one-off. Anyway, so I applied to Teach for America back at home, and I was working 2 jobs while I was waiting to hear back. And I got in, and I said I would only go to Baltimore, DC, New York, or New Jersey because I really wanted to be around Black people. Like, that was my goal. And so I got into Baltimore. And I moved here to teach. I packed up my little hoopty car, and they don't say hoopty anymore, but that's what we used to call them right back in the day, and packed it to the ceiling and drove out here by myself and got an apartment and started teaching. And the rest is history. I have been in Baltimore ever since. I taught at West Baltimore Middle School, someplace special, which I loved. And then I left that to go work at Enterprise Community Partners, which is a national nonprofit housing intermediary that does housing development for low-income families. And on top of that, I was working to institute a program where we thought about what are the educational outcomes for students who reside in those homes that we're building. Knowing that creating community isn't just about building a house, it is making sure that you have educational opportunity and connection to resources and supports. And so I did that for several years, both local and nationally, making sure that kids like me, where I grew up, had that same access to high quality education, you know, resources and supports. Their families were connected to that. And then I literally worked there for 21 years.
Wow.
And then was on the school board during that time period. For 8 of those years, I was on the school board for Baltimore City Public Schools. And then after that, and I pride myself on being the person who always listened to community, always listened to students when they were presenting or testifying, wanting to find the voice of our young people and our families in those conversations, and partners as well. That after I came off the board and it was off for a significant amount of time required by policy, Dr. Santalisa said, come back and work for us, the district, to be really thoughtful about this youth engagement, community engagement, family engagement work. So fast forward, there's where I am today. And as a side note, it's not always a side note, but I have 2 children as well. One is a Baltimore City School student. He's 10. He's a 4th grader. And my daughter is 4, and she'll be in pre-K in the fall in city schools as well. And I'm very proud of her.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So
It's a lot.
it's a lot, but how did you know that education was where you wanted to be? Like, what was that pull?
Yep. So it's a great question. Because my family life wasn't always great, like my mom struggled a lot. And, you know, to be real honest and truthful, like she was on drugs when I was in high school and college, right? And that's part of the reason why she's not with us now. And I say that to the young people because people, like, you think you know somebody by looking at them or the way they talk or the way they dress. And when I tell that kind of story to folks, they're like, wait a minute, wait, what? Like, you had that too? And so I say that to young people to let them know, like, your circumstances that are right now do not define you. They are your history. They help you create who you are and fortitude, but it does not define who you are. And so knowing that as my mom's struggle, like, school was my place of happiness. Like, while I did incur like racially charged things and that kind of thing, so that wasn't perfect, but school was a place where I felt success, where I had teachers who cared about me, where I could be a kid for a moment, because I was a very adultified kid where I had a lot of parental responsibilities as a young person. And so school was a place where I could just be, play my little sports and have my little clubs and be a kid. And so what I also recognize is education is the greatest equalizer in our country. And we have to take that very seriously, that had I not performed well in school, I wouldn't have gotten a scholarship and loans and stuff to go to college, and I wouldn't be where I am right now. And so for the motivation for me to even start teaching was I wanted to put that back in other young people. I wanted to be that person that other people were for me when I was in school, to create that space of encouragement and also rigor and challenge, right? I think a lot of times we underestimate our young people, we undereducate them, we don't challenge them enough. And so that's what motivated me to get into this space, was to help figure out how young people can have the same path of opportunity that was presented to me. And so, yeah, that's why I'm in it. And I think about, I remember being in high school saying, I'm going to law school. That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a lawyer. And then I never made it to law school. I ended up going to graduate school in education, because I have to lay my head down at night, and this is not disparaging of anybody who's an attorney, right? But I personally have to lay my head down at night knowing that I tried to make the world a little better each day. And if I've done that, then I can have peace of my own soul and my own being. And I think personally, if I had been at a law firm, it would have had to be some social justice, like civil action, like supporting domestic violence, whatever. I would have had to do something that was about impact, because that at the core is who I am.
Yeah, that's amazing, Miss Tina. Hardcore wants to know, can you talk about some of the hardships that you deal with in your career?
Yeah, so I mean, the work-life balance is really hard, right? Like I always say the work that we do is urgent and important, because it's about people's lives. It's about our children, it's about our families. And so it's hard sometimes to divorce that from my own home, right? Because I also want to pour into my children what I always sometimes didn't get, or what I think they need. And so in this moment right now, in this COVID time, like it is really hard to make sure my son is online learning, my daughter is engaged, while I am doing my job as best I can for kids right in the city and families. And so I think that's the hardest part, is that work-life balance. I mean, I work around the clock. I start meetings at 8:30 in the morning. I sometimes don't get off the computer until 7 or 8 in the evening. And then I'm checking emails, because if I'm on meetings all day, I can't check emails. So I have to find time to like put the computer down and actually eat dinner with my children and read a book to go to bed and tuck them in. And then I get right back on the computer. And so I think that's the hardest part. I also think, though, we have a lot of work to do at city schools and in city in general, in really what I was saying before about making sure our young people and families have the right opportunities. And so I'm driven by that, but it's also hard to figure out what's the best path. How do I engage? Whose voice should be at the table? How are we making sure that we're listening to people, right? And balancing that between what I think should happen, or what I, think of as the best course of action, along with getting that feedback from other people.
Yeah, wow. Trackstar wants to know, with everything you had going on, how did you manage to balance school and your struggles at home?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
And it's real, right? I mean, so let me just give you a week. Like I played basketball, right? I'm 5'11". I was the only Black girl, so I'm the center of the basketball team, right? So there you go. But I worked on the weekends, because practice went till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I also had to help, my mom worked until 7 o'clock at night. So, getting home, helping make dinner for my siblings and myself, like that's a reality. And then on Saturday and Sunday, when I wasn't playing games and wasn't in practice, I was working at Pizza Hut, literally. And I also worked at Subway, right? And worked the 8-hour weekends, because there, public transportation just doesn't really exist. Like buses stop at 5 p.m. So the only way to get around is to have a car. So I had my little hoopty car, but I had to pay for car insurance. I had to pay for gas, right? And so I had to work on the weekends. And then, if there was something special at school, like some basketball camp the coach wanted you to go to, right? Or whatever, prom or whatever, I had to save money so that I could pay for that stuff, because there wasn't money at home to do that. And I did have my grandparents, and I'm so thankful for them that they were able, when I would call upon them to help, but they were also, blue collar, hourly workers. So like them, it wasn't like there was money flowing around. And so I think balancing that work and also home responsibility was a challenge. But I also will say it has given me fortitude now to do what I'm able to do, right? I often wonder how I am creating that fortitude for my own children, because while I don't want them to have to struggle like I had to struggle, because like, let's be clear, financially, I'm in a very different place now than I was then, right? I own a home. We have, we have old cars. My son keeps saying, when are you gonna get a new car? I'm like, we're not. But it's this balance of like, he has privilege in his life that I didn't have. And so I want to build that fortitude so that when you know how to work hard and push through, it actually creates a resiliency that you just can't find anywhere else. And so even in this COVID time, people are shutting down and it's hard. Like, I've had my moments, but I'm also like, what's the eye on the prize? Where are we going with this? And I can stay focused on that because I had that when I was a young person, like building that fortitude. And life struggles are also opportunities for you to grow as a person. And so I've been able to do that, and I'm very grateful for the way I grew up. I mean, I wouldn't change it for a minute. Like, it was hard sometimes. I remember my mom when I was in high school was like, what? Because when I went to college, my mom was 32 years old. Right?
Baby.
She was a baby, and I had my son when I was 38. Like, when I think about reflecting back on like where I am in my life, this is where my mom at my age right now, my mom had already passed away. And so when you do that comparison, but like that, just that fortitude of building that strength internally, that you can withstand anything, you can push past anything. That's everything, because of that fortitude and that confidence is going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah, you preaching over there, Miss Tina. You a preacher.
I'm just telling my truth. Sorry.
No, we love it. Poet says, what's the difference that you've seen between being on the board versus teaching? That's a great question, Poet. Thank you for that question.
It is such a great question. So I will say, first and foremost, I miss my young people, right? Like, when being in the classroom and having that daily connection and with my students was everything. Like, it was hard because you don't have breaks, you can't go to a doctor's appointment. Like, there's some certain things that make it a little more challenging, and having summers off was great. But I do miss being with young people every day and getting that direct feedback and feeding your soul, right? Of like, I'm doing something right. And when I tell you, when my students find me on Facebook or I see them, down the street, it just warms my heart because they have such an affection for me, right? So that is everything. But I will say, I also felt like I was making change. I had 200 students a year. I had 40 kids a class, 5 classrooms, which also should not be allowed. Like, that many kids trying to give that much attention to students, that's too many kids in a class. But anyway, I had 200 students, and I thought about like that. I am impacting those students every day, but what different impact could I have? I've been frustrated with my principal. I was frustrated with my home life and my kids. Like, I remember one of my students coming in and having to go into foster care because her parents were not around. And I'm like, should I take her and have her come live with me as a single person trying to figure out my own way? And I will just say that like that, I was like, I got to make a bigger difference. Not that being impactful in a classroom isn't important, don't get me wrong. But for me to go, like, again, to lay my head down at night and know that I've done something right, I got to change the conditions. So I went from the classroom setting to a neighborhood community setting, right? So I was working in Sandtown, Winchester with Enterprise. It was my first out of teaching job, and really working in that community to support families and kids as well as the housing stuff. And then I thought, okay, I'm having a community level impact, but I'm not able to change how the district is working or how the district is engaging. That's why I joined the school board. Like, now I've got a classroom impact, I have community impact, and now I can actually have district-wide impact to change policies and practices and the way we engage with folks. And still though, when you're on the board, that's a 50,000 foot level. You're not in the inner workings of what's happening. You're doing policy and budget, and you're hearing testimony and you're asking questions, but it's not that like day-to-day engagement. And so it was a real decision, a struggle for me to leave my past job because I actually love what I was doing. But to think about the fact that I could provide leadership to my family and community engagement folks, that we could get real in the weeds with partnerships and youth engagement and all of that work was really appealing to me. And so I feel like this is the right place at the right time for me to move into that space. And again, it's a district level impact, but it's different.
Yeah, that's important. Isis says, how do you think your life would have been different if you would have grown up in the communities that you taught in? That's a great question, Isis.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I will tell you that I have said, and this, I'm just being real honest and transparent, that if I grew up in Baltimore, like I did in Nebraska with my family struggles, I might not be where I am right now, because I think it would have all been happenstance about which school I went to, which supports I would have gotten. And this is not to be disparaging across the whole district, but you know that you have excellent principals and you have principals who have space to grow, and you have teachers who are excellent and teachers who have space to grow. And my mom didn't have to navigate which school I went to. She didn't have to navigate which classes I was going to take. I was just talking to somebody else the other day. I don't ever remember even getting help with homework at home, right? I just had to do it and figure it out. So the fact that I went to a school that was aligned to high standards, that pushed us, that provided supports to me, mattered tremendously. And I think it would have been happenstance here, especially having a white mother, right, in a Black community. Like, how would she have navigated this space? And she didn't show up to school very well. She didn't get a lot of respect at school because, one, she's this white woman coming in with these Black children, and they're like, what's going on? And two, there wasn't a father around. So she never got the respect that she frankly deserved being a parent at school too. And so I just wonder like what she would have experienced having to navigate that here as well. And it could have been that I would have had a great education. I would have been able to go to what school, but it's unpredictable, because I think parents and students have to navigate which school is right for them, which is best right for them. And the district is working on it. Like, we have to challenge our school leaders and our teachers to be better, to be great. And I think we're doing that, but it's going to take time to grow. And so I think it's unpredictable. I often think about it myself, though, where would I be had I grown up here instead of there? Now, also, I will tell you all a quick story. My first day of teaching, I had to pass out bus tickets and lunch tickets, right? And I always got free lunch in school, like the whole time. But the day when you went to go get your free lunch ticket was the day no one else got their tickets. The kids who bought their lunch tickets got them on a different day. And I was always embarrassed that I had to go get my free lunch ticket, right? And so I remember the first day of my classroom, they gave me a packet and said, pass out the bus tickets and lunch tickets. And I was like, in front of everybody, like, I'm going to call kids out. And they're like, you don't understand. Like, people actually, this is a community. It's different. Like, kids want them that don't have, whatever. And so I remember passing them out, and it just being this like sense of like, we don't have to be ashamed about what we need or who we are, that it's okay that we need help, whatever. And it was revolutionary for me. So on the other hand, I would say I wouldn't have felt so isolated, right? As a person, and not a person of color, not being around people of color, but also sharing circumstance with other people who had similar background, and knowing that I wasn't the only one who didn't have a dad around, or I wasn't the only one whose mom had personal struggle. I think that would have also been helpful to me, because it felt very isolating, and having to hide it and not talk about it was hard.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Keon has an interesting question. He says, first, it's good to see people with good intentions at the top. How do you feel about the school system now, though? Do you think that it's failing us, or do you think that it's getting better? That's a great question, Keon.
Absolutely. And I would say, I think it's getting better, right? So Dr. Santelises, I think, is incredible. I know she was supposed to join you all tomorrow, but I think she's scheduled for June 3rd, I think is the date. And I will say that, like, her leadership, my phone is ringing, I should have turned it off, sorry. I think her leadership and the cabinet that she has created has been remarkable. Are we there yet? No. Do we have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. But I think that the people that I work with every day, I mean, if you could have a glimpse into the conversations we have and how they care about our young folks and what's happening, it's just different. And I can't describe that other than saying it's remarkably different. I see, we have Dr. Tracy Durant, who is doing our equity work for the district, right? Around really changing hearts and minds about what equity looks like. And equity doesn't mean equal for everybody. Excuse me. It means making sure that we are thinking really smart about how we do our work, how it is showing up, how it is impacting people of color or not people of color, what are the unintended consequences of our actions. And so we are using that lens every single time we make a policy decision, a budget decision. And that's different. Like, that is new. That is not something we've done before. We've been doing training for principals and teachers and district personnel about using the equity lens and understanding history, and that we know that there has been inequities in this country, not just knowing it, but really realizing the impact that it's had on our ability to educate kids effectively and give them what they need is the lens that we're developing right now. And that's very different than just saying we're going to give a high quality education, right? It's a high quality education framed in an equity framework that allows you to really go deep into how you create equity and how you get rid of inequities throughout the district. And so I appreciate the team that I get to work with. I appreciate the evolution of thought from city schools. We have some remarkable educators out there who are, doing home visits right now for kids, right? We also have our community school strategy, which I manage, and I'm so grateful to them. Our community schools coordinators are literally going to homeless shelters and bringing food and packets to families, right? They are managing our food sites. They are trying to create connections for families and partners at schools so we can wrap our arms around families and support them in the way we need to support it. That's also new. We'd only had a few of them. It was like 45 to 50 historically. And because of a grant from the state, we were able to hire 119 community schools coordinators. And so our schools where the state identified need additional support and resources, we have those folks on the ground whose job it is to make sure we have the resources in place for kids so they can access their learning in the right way, right? If you have barriers, if you can't see the board because you don't have glasses, like let's figure that connection out. So I just appreciate the intentionality with the blueprint of getting literacy and wholeness and leadership at the forefront and the wholeness work. I mean, my own husband actually works for the district doing SEL training. He does social and emotional training for the district office and teaching people how to build relationship with students and not just teach them, because relationship is everything. That's where you get trust. That's where you get alignment. That's where you get students motivated because they actually believe in you. And for some people, it is second nature, right? It's how you walk the world. I feel like that's how I try to walk the world with my students. But for some, it's not. I was trained to be a math teacher and I'm going to teach math. But you have to build relationship with students in order to get what you need. So I do think that wholeness work is amazing. The community schools work is amazing. And this equity framework, I think, is really taking the district to a different level. And some folks would call that the touchy-feely stuff. But I would argue it's actually the most important stuff for students learning.
Very much so, and underrated and underappreciated a lot. Very much so. Poet has a great question here. She says, what type of changes are you seeing in grades and in children's attention with this quarantine? That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We are doing a thing called, it's a POSSIP survey. We're going to survey parents to get them to give us feedback on, it's a short time turnaround, like a text survey. And now that I'm saying this out loud, we probably should do it for students too. They can give us real-time feedback of like 5 questions, right? How are you experiencing this? We're designing that right now. We're also doing some listening tours. But I will tell you from the Facebook comments that we've been tracking and the comments I've had from young people that I've talked to or whatever, I think people are experiencing it in different ways, right? There are some young people who didn't like going to school, frankly, like physically being in school. And so they've actually shown up more online than they actually were in school. And I don't mean show up like physically, I mean like actually participating and doing the work and feeling like it's a good space for them. I think other young people are struggling because our young folks are social beings, right? And the notion that like you cannot be out with your friends, your community, and have that release, like that's really a hard thing for folks to manage. And so, and also like the milestone moments of prom and graduation and all those things that they're not able to have right now, it just breaks my heart because they deserve it. They deserve that celebration. They deserve that like coming of age moment where you get all dressed up and have your moment and stuff. And so I think it's mixed. I think my daughter would tell you, this is her dream. She's 4. And she's like, I get to be at home with mommy all day. I'm like, it is not my dream. I can say that I love you to death, but I will say the little kisses and hugs I get in between meetings or her going, I got to tell you a secret. I'm much like, I love you. And then she'll run off. I'm like, that fills my heart too. But she's loving it. My son, it's hard because even this morning, I'm like, you got to get your work done before you get your online class started at 11 o'clock. And he doesn't want to do it. And I get on a meeting call and then I turn my head because I'm focused here and he's watching TV, right? So it's a balance, but I think we have to acknowledge that different kids are coming to this from different places, and we need to be thoughtful about how we are supporting the youngest of our young people and the oldest of our students and making sure that they have what they need. And that's the struggle, right? We started Wellness Wednesdays, and you all have seen that. It's on our website. It gives resources every Wednesday for how to, manage stress, for how to talk about COVID to younger people, to think about what the balance might look like and that kind of thing. So I encourage folks to look at that, because at least it says, and we also have our hotline for social and emotional support that kids and families can call in and actually get support if they need it during this time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. What's the web address? Somebody, can y'all put the web address in the chat for me?
I gotta find it.
Oh, okay. We're gonna find it, y'all.
I'll find it. If I try to look at that now, I'm gonna stop focusing on what you're talking
No, don't
about.
worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll get it later, and I'll
Okay.
post it on Instagram, y'all,
Okay,
along with
perfect.
the hotline too we talked about. So that's
Perfect.
cool. Kamaya has an interesting question. She says, "Do you think that if you would have had the African American side in your life, it would have influenced any choices that you've made in the past?"
Maybe. I mean, I never doubted my own Blackness, right? So I think it would have given me a frame. So let me back up and say, I had a frame that was not always positive, right? Because I didn't have mentors or positive Black role models. And so if anything, I would say it would have changed my frame that I wasn't okay because I wasn't showing up in a certain way, right? Because the community that I was, I did have Black people around me. I had a stepfather for a while and I did have Black people around me. They weren't always the most positive people though, right? And so just to be real frank and honest about it. And so I disassociated myself with the behaviors that they were exhibiting or they were dealing with without going into too much detail. And so I think in that moment, that was defining what Blackness was. And so folks questioning my Blackness, it was like, I'm not showing up like that. So therefore I'm not validated as who I am. I think that would have changed my growth path quicker to say that Black is whatever you want Black to be. And so I think that would have been a big difference. I think also, I remember I took a test when I became a teacher. In order to teach in this Baltimore, in Maryland, you have to pass a couple tests. And one of them, I was a social studies teacher. And so one of the tests was about just history in general and your knowledge of it. So they want to make sure you're smart enough to teach it. And what's crazy, after I took the test, and I was 20 or 21 when I took this test, I pretty much know that I got all the white history questions correct. And I think I messed up the Black history questions, right? And that's because that was not part of my educational experience. That was something I had to seek out on my own and read Zora Neale Hurston, because that wasn't taught in school, right? Or James Baldwin or writings of Malcolm X from it. We just didn't have that. And so that was a moment in time for me. I'm like, I cannot believe that I don't know the answers to this question. I don't know my own history. So it took upon myself to learn it and also impart it to my own children. And when I was teaching, frankly, but I would say that that's probably another big difference, is that having a community where I learned about myself and not just everybody else would have been extremely valuable. I mean, I don't think I'd be in a different place now because I've done the work I needed to do, but as a young person, I would have had that, and it would have been empowering to have that at a much earlier age.
Yeah, wow. Trackstar has a great question here. She says, if there was one thing that you had the power to change with all public schools, what would it be? I love it. I love
Wow.
it.
Wow.
It's a great
Um,
question.
Wow. I really want to say two, and that's why I'm trying to figure out which one's the best one to say. I'm gonna go ahead and say two, because I'm wasting time. I'm gonna say two. I think the first is that we had the right funding for our schools. Flat out, we do not have the money that we need to do the work we do. People see that we have $1 billion budget. They're like, that's a ton of money. But when you think about the budgets that go to schools, the things we aren't able to do, I just went through my first budgeting session where I actually was creating budget, and we were having real debate about, can we buy physics curriculum, or do we need to buy a new enrollment system? And that just is something we should not have to debate. We should not have to be making those concessions or considerations. Our young folks deserve more than that. And other districts, you look at the resources that kids have in schools, the physical buildings that they're able to be in, the programs, the innovation that they're able to experience. Like, all of our young folks should be able to be self-actualized and experience that in school in a way that gives them what they deserve while they're sort of figuring out who they are and their path. So I would say that is probably the most, but you just can't have money alone. I would also say that we would have really, I think we have a lot of amazing staff, but having the ability to innovate and push and give them the resources that they need to be successful with young folks and continue to help them build relationship and trust with our students, I think is also as equally paramount as having the right money. It's money is one thing, but knowing what to do with it is something else. And I would offer that making sure our principals, our teachers, our school-based staff understand, the equity work fully, that we're fully trained in that, we're fully trained in how we are building relationship with students and how we're engaging with each other, and that we are whole people as well that can really deliver our best selves to our students would also be the other thing that I think it's not a change, it's a continuation of growth. It's an evolution of where we need to be as a whole district.
Yeah. Well, Q has a great question. She says, how do you think we can move forward as a community after COVID-19? Like, what can we do for our youth to integrate them into this new age? That's a great question, Q. Very important too.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just start off by saying we, first of all, got to think how we do things in a different way. Like the fact that we were able to jump on to distance learning, now it's taken us a while and we're not perfect, but this could change how students engage in school, right? If we have a child, for example, let's just say someone who is sick, right? And they can't come to school. There should be a way for us to figure out how virtual learning takes place. They can actually still engage with their classmates. They can still get the learning that they have. And so as a district, this is giving us new ways to think about this. I had a meeting earlier this morning where I talked about convening with partners, and we could literally have an online meeting with 1,000 partners that we wouldn't actually have ever thought we could do before. So we have to think about how we innovate and how we change moving forward. But I would also offer that we don't know right now what learning loss is happening for students, right? We know individual classrooms, we know teachers know their students, but we don't know the overall impact of where this is. And I would offer that there's going to have to be a recovery phase of work. And we are working on that right now as a district, phase of recovery all the way through summer of 2021, right? What does that look like? This summer coming up, the fall, the spring, if we have to go, or if we have to go into isolation again, for example, like what does that look like for recovery? So that we're making sure we're bringing our best selves and we have the best support for our students. So that if this happens again, we're not scrambling to try to figure this out, that we are actually able to have a strong response and a strong plan moving forward. So we're not doing 5 weeks of device distribution. We're not trying to figure out internet. We got it figured out, right? We got to be prepared. But I would also just offer that we also, like my own daughter, when we go out for a walk once a day, if she sees people, she gets scared. And that actually breaks my heart because I love being around people. I'm an extrovert. I love being around people. And so this notion that like she's somehow creating a frame that like people are bad because of this COVID response. We also, I saw a commercial the other day that says something about we're not touching each other physically, but we need to socially. We need to stay in touch with each other. We need to feed our minds and our souls and have that connection to community and people. And so I would just offer like our young people need to remind us of that we really have to stay connected in community with each other if we're isolated or if we're not. And so thinking about how we do that in these new phases is going to be part of the challenge also.
Yeah, wow. Trackstar and Kamaya, they kind of have something together on here through their comments. So they're saying, Kamaya says, like we really don't have enough money, and I think that it stunts a student's growth. Kids can't thrive in an environment where they aren't properly cared for, whether it's at school or at home. And Trackstar says it seems like the government will pick and choose who they want to support in order to have a better life. Like, what are your thoughts on that? In terms of that being a perception from our young people? That's heavy, y'all, and I love it. Thank y'all for being honest and for bringing this up.
And I'm gonna try to stay out of the political frame because I'm in my position as city school person, so I can't. I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. I really want to go there right now, but I'm not going to because of the
I know we're gonna have to get you in a private one
right,
with
like
the kids, and you just go off.
The politics, I can't. If we do a session in person with the young folks later, I'm happy to do I'll tell my politics all day long.
Y'all heard it right. We got you.
I'm happy to do that. Just not in this space. But I would just offer that I think that's exactly right. I mean, I think about growing up in Nebraska. I'm gonna go back to that, and then the amount of need is just not as great. And so when we got Section 8 housing, which I was on, right? I lived in a community where nobody knew that's where I had Section 8 housing, because it was in a community where people owned their homes or rented their homes or whatever. And this idea of concentration of poverty in our city is real, and it is hard. And so knowing that we have to find enough money for schools, but families also need to have jobs and opportunity for economic development and growth and whatnot, it's a real struggle. And the only thing that I can offer is we have to do two things at the same time for families. And that is, not only are we helping them connect to their young people and helping young folks have a great education, we also have to do a dual strategy where families are getting the supports that they need to be healthy and whole also. And so that requires additional investment in workforce development and opportunity. Just because you've been trained doesn't mean is that linking you to the jobs that you need to get and whatnot. I remember we did the 21st Century Schools program. I was still on the school board, and we talked about like, how do we do a set aside for the community to get the construction jobs to build those schools? Because those are actually lucrative jobs that pay well, that could really support a family. But when you're the median income, I think in Maryland for a family of four is $48,000 a year. And that actually is really not enough for a family of four. And that's above the poverty line. And so when you talk about how families manage this, how they manage college and how they get kids on, I think we've got to make sure we're connecting folks to resources, right? Like this notion that like I applied for college on my own, nobody helped me, no one assigned it, whatever. That's not acceptable. And kids should have the same opportunities laid out for them when they start high school. I love Dr. Pfeiffer is doing a plan around mentorship and supporting young people at ninth grade moving forward, where we talk about in ninth grade, what are your goals? Do you want to go in the military? Do you want to go to college? I don't even offer that everybody needs to go to college. I don't actually believe that, but I think everybody should have the chance to go if they want to go, right? Let's be real clear about that, because it might not be your path. My nephew graduated from high school and he's working construction right now and loving it and has a paycheck coming in and is really happy about it. And my niece is graduating from college from Towson University this May, second generation to go to college. So everybody has a different path, but it's how we figure out the path to support you in figuring out what that is. And that is our job as a school system, especially for our high schools, of helping you outline that path and create that pathway so you can have self-sufficiency and you can be a citizen and not struggle, right? And so I think it was a recent study done of our CTE programs and looked at like, what's the income that kids are earning after being a couple of years out of school, and it wasn't enough. And so we have to revamp our programs. We have to think about not only what young people are interested in, because that's important too, but also giving them guidance on careers and pathways that will actually create a family sustaining wage. And so that's part of our responsibility too. But it is hard. I mean, it frankly is, it is a challenge to have enough food in the home, to have bills being paid. And now we're talking about you got to pay $10 a month for internet also. Like that's real. And so what our city can do to rally behind our kids, rally behind our families. I've been on a road show talking about, I'm sorry to keep going, but on a road talking about
you good.
Internet has become a public utility, right? Just like water, just like electricity, there is no home in our city that shouldn't have internet, because it's access to information. It is access to understanding and news and connectivity right now, like we're doing right now. And so the fact that we have families that don't have that is just simply not okay. And how we create a standard by which we think is important for families to live by, and that's a citywide, a statewide issue, is just a school system issue. It's really critical.
Yeah, no, it's so important. It's so important. Kamaya says, do you think that the way you were raised by your mom and your teachers stunted your growth, or do you think that it elevated your growth? It's a good question, Kamaya.
It's a great question. Yeah, because I pondered that myself, right? I mean, so be real transparent. Like I remember taking the PSAT, right? And I think I must have scored pretty well. I don't remember my score, but I started getting all of these pamphlets and information from colleges around the country, like come to our school. And I guess they figured I'm Black and I'm from Nebraska. That doesn't happen very often. So we need to get this girl to come to college. But like nobody helped me navigate that. Nobody helped me figure that out. And I would offer that you know, could I have ended up still where I am right now? Probably, because I'm led by my heart and my soul, not just my mind. But I could have had opportunities that I didn't know were available to me. And so I think that is real. I also think having a single mom and having struggle, I think that's real. But I also know I wouldn't change that because it is who I am, right? It made me appreciate what I have. It made me work harder. Like I said, building that fortitude of having a job. I mean, I had a paper route when I was 12 years old, and then I was 14. Y'all wait, ready for this. I did tasseled corn, which means that a school bus came to a local high school. I was 14 years old. They pick you up, they take you out to a farm, and you literally work in the farm field.
Wow.
And pick corn stuff, right? And it was 100 degrees outside. You had to wear long sleeves. But I'm gonna tell you, doing that told me I'm going to college. I'm not built for this. This is too hard. It is hot. This is really hard. And so that's going to give me some. So I would say, yes, it could have changed some things, but I also don't take for granted anything that I went through, whether it was a struggle or not, because it made me who I am.
Yeah, no, you gotta appreciate that. Lamar has a pretty good question here. He says, if everyone is supposed to have an equal opportunity, how do you have one if you're too poor to get the same book that other kids will get for free? That's a great question, Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was saying about our budget, right? Like, we shouldn't be requiring students to buy their own books in high school. Like, college is a whole different conversation, but like the reality that like that should never ever be a barrier to academic success. And so having the right resources at our schools to give to our young people is absolutely it's critical. You know, we're talking now about if we get COVID relief funds, for example, right? Then we need to buy books and send them home to students, right? They just have to have them. There's no excuse for that other than to say we've got to get the budget right. And, you know, with Kerwin passing, and now we have a veto, I won't go into politics, I'm just going to take stating facts.
Oh, they said they want you to come back for that other conversation.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
It's over. Yeah,
that's fine. But, you know, as a district, we put out a statement that we were disappointed in the veto, which I can say that, right? Because it is what is right for our children. I mean, the fact that, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this, I did say this on a live call a couple of weeks ago, the fact that 13% of the district's budget comes from the city and 87% comes from the state means that we are more dependent on larger state decisions about how things are funded and how things go. And you have counties like Baltimore County, Howard County, whatever, 50% of their budget comes from the local source. And so they are able to innovate in a way that we are just not, because their budgets are actually, frankly, different. And so where you live in this state dictates how much money is actually spent on your education. And if you look at the stories that other people put out, I'm not going to disparage any reporters or any news outlets, but they put out things about, oh, city schools has 15,000 per student. Actually, that's an overall number of dividing the total budget from the total number of kids we have. And you can't actually do that because we have students, for example, who have special needs and they require a different level of investment, and they should, not just require, we have an obligation, right, to do that for them. But then that means that one student the education might cost $20,000 a year or $50,000 a year, depending on their level of need. And then other students, we have to balance that out overall in the budget, ends up with a budget of like $7,000 per school. It's just not okay to make those larger comparisons about what we have. And so I just offer that we need to have better city investment in our schools. And that just is a reality we've talked about. We need to have the right state investment in our schools and acknowledge that equity doesn't mean equal. So dividing up amongst 1 to 1 to 1 means equal. No, we need actually a little more right now to make sure that our kids have what they need to be successful. And you know, people go online because private schools are online because they like, we got it up so quickly. Okay, your kids already had computers. So, okay,
right.
Good for you. That's great. I'm glad you're able to do that. And I'm proud of you for that. But we have to do a lot of work to do to make sure our kids have what they need. And so it requires a different level of investment that frankly we have to make. And we are trying to balance it out at city schools and trying to work that out. But, you know, it's real.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you preaching over there, Miss Tina. We got time for this one last question. Poet, I think this is an amazing question. She says, can you tell us how do you get ahead if college is not your thing due to your race or wealth?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm gonna back up a little bit and say, just because of race and wealth doesn't mean you can't go to college. So let me just put that out there first, because it is possible. It is figuring out the right path for college if you want it, right? So I would offer to any young person, do not take the fact that if you are in a situation where you feel like you are not have enough money, or that you are a color or whatever, that you can't access it. Not true. We actually have free city community college right now for our city residents, right? So being able to access that path to get the community college path started might be a way to do that, right? Or it is taking a year off and applying again because you need to whatever. But I also would offer, figure out what the path is. What are you interested in, and how do you make that a job? So I'm gonna joke for a second. My daughter said, she's 4, I want to be an ice cream maker when I grow up. I was
I
like,
know
all
that's
right,
right.
bet. But what you gonna do? You're gonna figure out how to create your own flavors. You're gonna have a business, and you're gonna sell your ice cream and market your ice cream, right? And so that's what I'm saying about, like, what is your passion? And then how do we help you connect to it? So if going in the military makes sense for you, do it, right? Because there are benefits. There's college that you can take, there's health insurance and all that. But if that's not your path and you want to do something else, then figure out what that path is and find a trade program. But I'm gonna tell you, just like this is the lecture I give my nephew all the time, because he jumps from one thing to the next. And I said to him, I need you to get your certification right now, right? So what is it that appeals to you? He has done plumbing, he's done roof construction, he's 21 years old. He's also done fixing cars, right? And so I said, I don't care which one of those things you want to do. If you like them all, but you need to find one that works for you to get your certification so that you can actually have a career for yourself, or go to the fire department, right? Whatever it is, but find that path that actually makes you feel good and whole, and but also is lucrative enough that you'll have a sustained living. And so I offer, you don't have to go to college, but I encourage you to do so if you want to, not thinking that poverty or race is a barrier to that. It will be, but you got to overcome it. And we got to figure that out. But there also are many ways that you could be successful. I mean, in the tech world, you could do an IT training program and go out making far more money than a teacher makes when you first start in your career as a technology person, not even having gone to a 4-year college. So just understanding those pathways, understanding what's out there, but also what speaks to your heart and your soul. One thing I'll offer, like, I love little kids, right? Let's say I hadn't gone to college and I really would like to be, I would have actually owned my own home daycare, because let me tell you something, you can actually make a really nice living paying for daycare. I pay so much for childcare right now, it's not even funny. And so if you have your certification and you like little folks, and you could either open up your own home center or a bigger center, it's a lucrative living. It just but you've got to get your certifications, and you got to get your path together.
That's
So.
right. No, that's right, Miss Tina, man. This was a beautiful, amazing conversation. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It would not be right, though, if we didn't ask you the last question that we always ask everybody.
Okay.
And that is, what is your jewel? If you had to leave us with something, what jewel would you leave us with?
Oh, honestly, I would say it's having to believe in yourself, right? I think that a lot of times young folks are looking for mentors, or looking for leadership, they're looking for reassurance that who they are is okay. And I would just offer that confidence comes when you get older. I'm telling you right now, which I know right now as a 40-some-year-old, I didn't know what I knew when I was 18, right? But I would just say you can do or be anything you actually want to be. And so you've got to believe in yourself, even when others don't show that to you, right? And like, that's it. That's everything. If you have that, then you can then begin to figure out your path. You can begin to figure out your journey, but you have to know that you are healthy and whole just the way you are, whether you are showing up, if you are LGBTQ, if you are a person of color, if you don't have money, those things don't define you. They are part of you. You have to define yourself and believe in yourself and your ability to be great. And I know, based on the young folks I've met with in person from your group, they are amazing and thoughtful and innovative and push, and they need to keep doing that, but also believe in their own capacity, even when someone else tells you that it's not true, or you're not going to make it. I remember I heard a campaign one time, and it was about students who were gay, and it said, it gets better. It does get better. And I thought about that for myself. Not that that's my personal struggle, but that in high school, I wish someone had told me it gets better. That my circumstances right now are not it, they're not final, and it does get better, but you have to have some stake in the game to make it better. And that's fully believing in yourself to make it better and make your life what you want it to be. And its possibilities are endless.
That's an amazing jewel, Miss Tina. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. This is my favorite meeting all day, probably all week. This is
y'all hear that? Your favorite meeting. Yeah. Thank you so much. I can't wait till this whole Rona situation is over so we can get you back in person, because you got a lot of client signs. They definitely want you to come back. And
I'll do it. Yes, absolutely. Would love to.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. And young folks, stay strong, stay safe, stay inside, right? Stay safe, but most importantly, just keep believing in yourself.
Y'all heard her. Y'all heard Miss Tina. Keep believing in yourself. That's our thing. Keep believing in yourself. Thank you so much, Miss Tina.
Okay, thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Y'all, what a powerful session. What a great session, man. Oh, man. I love it when we have amazing people on. Zoe! What's up, Zoe? Yo, man. This has been a great session. There she go. You okay with the dollar bills today? Ain't no change today. Money Mo, what's up?
Hey, Miss Joni.
Good.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain at all, man.
Good.
I'm doing good.
How's the day been going?
It's been going great. I can't even complain at all. How about yours?
Good.
Yeah, you looking better, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, looking like that dollar bill.
I'm not playing with you on today. I'm not. Hey y'all, how y'all doing today?
Looking crispy. Y'all, I'm not even mad no more that Dr. Santelises had to reschedule on us because Miss Tina was so powerful. So I'm not even mad no more. She did an amazing job. And just, her personal story and all the adversity and stuff that she had to overcome to get where she's at, that's just amazing. And just a true testament, all you gotta do is do what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's it. TB, what's up?
Hey,
what is going on?
Good afternoon. All right, you ready?
Man, look, I've been ready. I'm just blowing up over here, though, dealing with our little Mars situation. But I had to kind of be focused on what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're gonna get that straight, y'all. Y'all definitely made noise.
I was like, what?
Y'all definitely made noise.
I didn't know what was going on. I popped in and then I just saw his face and I was like, what's going on? And then I was trying to scroll and trying to rewind. I was just, yeah. I mean, I think I'm up to speed now, but I was like, what is going on? But yeah, I hope that works out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be good. We are definitely gonna be good. Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, because y'all came with the fire, okay? Y'all came with the fire. All right, y'all. We're gonna get started. We're gonna start with this question because I'm into that lately. But yeah, hey y'all. So what's the most interesting thing that you've read or that you've seen this week? I can start or you can start, Miss Joni. It's up to you.
Most interesting thing that I've read or seen. I would probably say Ma's interview yesterday. I thought that it was so nice in that he handled himself just with so much professionalism and just he represented himself just very, very well. So that was probably the most interesting thing that I've seen so far this week.
Okay. That's definitely like, oh, I was gonna see what you were gonna say because that's definitely on my list. But I have another one too because they're kind of like neck and neck. Mars would probably be the top, but this one is like right under it, and it's about faith. So just like giving y'all fair warning, it's about faith and like trusting in God and stuff. But basically, I follow this comedian, social media influencer. His name is Kevin Fredericks, but he goes by Kevin on stage. And he was talking about like, it was a very short video. It was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And he was talking about how like people don't like the saying like God doesn't give us like more than we can bear. And basically he was like, the reason that people don't like that is because like we sometimes feel so overwhelmed and we feel like, you know, we have more than we can bear because the intention is that we're supposed to give it, like we're supposed to give our problems and our trials and our tribulations to God, but people aren't doing that. So that's why we feel like we have more than we can bear. And I just thought that was an interesting perspective. And it's just stuck with me. I think I watched it Sunday. It might have been yesterday, but either way at the top of the week. And that was like a very like powerful thing. And it's just like playing over and over in my head since I saw it. So that's probably the most interesting, well, one of the most interesting things that I've seen or read this week. And for everybody watching, make sure that you drop something interesting. You can even drop links. So if it's an inspirational video or motivational video, or something that you've read, you know, the link to that, or just like the name of like a book or an article or something, make sure that you drop those so that we can read each other's kind of like interesting things and learn more. But yeah, hey Corey. So we're gonna hop right on in. And we're talking about perfectionism today, y'all. And like the pros and the cons of like being a perfectionist or dealing with the idea of perfectionism. Hopefully nobody feels attacked because when I brought this word out last week, y'all were like, I feel attacked, da, 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 da. But this is something that I've seen just like within the heartbeats, but I've also, it's something that's very personal to me as well. So it's going to be interesting talking about this particular topic, and we're just going to move right on in. As always, any questions, anything, we're going to get them answered. Starting off with this quote, because you know we got to have a quote up in here. There is no perfection, only beautiful versions of brokenness. And so this quote can be taken in a couple of ways. If you initially look at it, you're like, oh, well, you have to be broken in order to, no, what it's saying is like, there is no such thing as perfection. Like I only know one perfect person and they are no longer on earth with us. They are up in heaven with God. And so yeah, there's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as a perfect situation or a perfect person. So you just have to recognize those things, and people, you know, make light of certain situations, you know, where things may be going wrong or where they may be making mistakes. Like they learn from them, they beautify them, they glorify them. And as a result, it looks, you know, and it is something beautiful. So, of course, questions are for everybody, but what is your definition of a perfectionist? And I can like start us off. Because people have different definitions. And my particular definition is that you spend so much time worrying about what went wrong or what was messed up that you don't worry about the good things, or that you don't recognize the good things that are happening. Miss Joni?
Yeah, this one is crazy for me because I look at perfectionists really as people who are slaves. And when I say that, I mean like they are slave to a situation that's probably never gonna be. Like it is very, very, very rare cases where, everything was like just right, just perfect, or, whatever the case may be. And I think that sadly, good people who are perfectionists, they just spend so much time actually, thinking about it and trying to work on it that they never actually get a chance to do it. So my personal definition would be, slave to something that's probably not ever going to come to fruition.
Thank you. Cam said, hey Cam said that her most interesting moment was definitely Mars segment last night. We had a watch party and that was something interesting at the beginning. Not even gonna lie to you, but it was fun. It was nice to watch it all together. And then she said you have to go through a lot to get to your end goal or your version of perfect. You definitely, a lot can be an understatement, Cam, definitely a lot. And then she said someone who wants everything to a T and end up spending too much time on it. Absolutely, Cam. I'm glad that you, especially that second statement, like you spend so much time on this one thing or on these couple of things that you miss. Like opportunities are literally coming to you and literally like passing you by, and you're missing just everything great that could possibly come to you. So thank you for sharing, Cam. All right. So we're gonna do like the actual definition of like perfectionism. And it's the refusal to accept any standard short of perfection. And that's exactly what it says. Like there, the fact of like this definition in general, like the refusal to accept any standard short of perfection, like you're not go like everything that you participate in, everything that you kind of, do or anything, like it's not going to be perfect. And you hear people say like, oh, it's perfect for the situation, or maybe the perfect person for you, or something like that. And that's like a version of like, the best, but there's no perfectionism, and it does not exist. So striving for it is stressful and can be pointless at times as well, because you're never going to get, like Michonne was saying, like you can be a slave to trying to strive for perfection. So we're going to talk about today we're going to talk about cons of being a perfectionism, but like also ways that you can use, like if you classify as a perfectionist, or if you if you call yourself a perfectionist, how to like use some of those traits and transform them into something that can be like useful or good for you. So this particular image, it says perfectionist striving versus perfectionist concern. So the one on the left, perfectionist striving, is like if you classify as a perfectionist, but you're using it to level up, you're using it to like drive you and to motivate you. And then the right one is more of like you're letting it hold you back. You're letting it have a hold on things that you're trying to do. So perfectionist striving, drive to attain accomplishment, leave no stone unturned, motivated by positive outcomes. So the idea is that like you're just constantly, motivated, you're being determined. When you do good, you're recognizing that you done well, and you're using that to motivate you to keep pushing it forward. Perfectionist concern, the desire to avoid mistakes, fear of failure, fear of being viewed negatively by others. So this would be, you're like at a halt, like you can be so scared to make a mistake that you don't even try. You're just fearful of like not attaining your goal or making a mistake, or doing whatever. You're fearful, and then you're also fearful and maybe concerned with how others view you as well. And it's easier in this particular position to worry about what others are talking about and what others are saying about you. So at the end of this, and just in general, you want to think more on that perfectionist striving. If you classify yourself as a perfectionist, you want to be on that striving, like thriving, we're thriving, we're using the skills that we have in the best way possible. So just kind of like looking into more of this topic, and on the website Very Well Mind, because I didn't make this particular concept up. I think it's called Very Well Mind. They had this concept called push versus pull, and kind of going with the perfectionist striving and the perfectionist concern. Perfectionists are pushed towards their goals. So like they feel like pressure, they feel like things are like pushing them towards their goals. They're not necessarily goals that they have made themselves. They're pushing towards like unrealistic expectations, whereas high achievers, like they feel that energy bringing them to their goals. They're being pulled by their goals. They're being motivated by their goals. They're being just in a better position to achieve their goals. So it's like you have to ask yourself, like, am I being pushed towards my goals? Like, do I just feel pressure to achieve something, and do I feel pressure to do something perfectly? Or am I being pulled by, the bigger picture and greater knowledge and greater ideas and achieving something that can be purposeful? So yeah, you have to kind of pause and ask yourself, like, hey, am I like being pushed, or am I being pulled? So yeah. It's important to be aware that perfectionists can be overly critical of themselves, but they can also be overly critical of other people. So they're incredibly like hard on themselves. So like everything, I'm gonna say we are incredibly hard on ourselves. And so that can be, it could be a good thing as long as you're like recognizing your mistakes and learning from them, but it can also be a really bad thing because you're spending so much time and you're over analyzing everything. You're spending so much time on something that you may have done wrong, or something that that you had no control over also. So maybe you did have control over it and it went wrong, but also maybe it was out of your control and it went wrong. The perfectionist dwells on both of those moments. So it's like, yeah, they're constantly beating themselves up, constantly pulling themselves apart. And then as far as being overly critical of others, like as far as being overly critical of others, they're the ones kind of like they can be like the annoying ones. They can be like the productive ones as well, but they can be like the annoying ones, like, yo, like always saying like something is going wrong, or like you did something wrong, or this didn't go wrong. This would have went better if you would have done this. This would have went better if you did what I said, type of personality. And so they kind of walk that line. So that line of, am I being bossy and annoying, or am I just giving like that constructive criticism? But yeah, they can be overly critical of themselves and of other people. But yeah, so I'm gonna kind of pause right here, and just ask like anybody watching, and of course Ms. Joni, like, would you classify yourself as a perfectionist, just from your own definition, or from what we've already talked about?
Like, absolutely not. Like, nothing I do is perfect. And I'm definitely one of those people who, like, I'm building while I'm flying. Like, my personal mantra is, if I have enough information, and everything to at least get started, then I'm going to go. I'm going to get started and still be working on things like in the background and, making sure that things are as right as they can possibly be for the moment. But if you look at kind of anything in my life, like it's always been an evolution. Like I've never been the one to wait until I got every last ingredient or until I got every last thing right. No, I'm like, yo, this is what I want to do. I have the courage to do it. I know enough to go ahead and get started. I'm getting started. And then you'll see my progress after a week, after another week, after a month. And then, my God, after years, it's like, you're going to see that I've really been working, but I've never been the one to just kind of sit and talk about it. Nah.
Thank you, Ms. Joni. And of course, I'm going to answer my own question. Am I a perfectionist? Yeah. Yeah, I am. So, but I feel like I have to, and I have been like moving out of that, but just in the general sense, absolutely. And so I can kind of go back, just like when I was younger, like in that kind of position of, I feel like there was this one moment when I was a child, and y'all hear about like growing up in those households like where you get like a 95, but then like your parent or whoever maybe taking care of you asks you where the other 5% went. And so that only happened maybe a couple of times, but like explicitly it happened like one time. I remember I got a 96 on an assignment. 96, that's an A plus or whatever. A plus, doesn't matter. It's an A. I got 96% of that work correct. And somebody like, taking care of me was like, but what happened to the other 4%? And I'm like, I did 96% of it correct. Like, but I did 96% of it correct. What do you mean? Where are the other 4 points? And so I vividly like remember, like I remember that scene. I remember where I was. I was standing by the dining room table, and I don't remember what subject the test was in, but I just remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, where is the other 4%? And I was like, what happened? Like, why didn't you get 100? And like, I was excited about it. Like, I was excited, like, oh, I got a 96. And I was excited to show it. But then like, I started like saying like, okay, yeah, where's the other 4%? And I think that was kind of the start of me consciously like, okay, you have to get 100% every time. You have to do, you have to do things as like close to perfection as possible. But, and I can say like now that I know that that's not possible, but at that time I can't confidently say that I didn't know that perfection wasn't attainable. So I think that that's affected me like throughout my life now, because I'm like, if it's not ready, we can't do it. Or if it's not, if it doesn't have like clear steps, or if it doesn't have like a clear path, then we can't do it. Now, my mindset about that is still there underlying, definitely, especially when it comes to me personally. As far as me affecting like the bigger picture, I feel like that mindset is changing and had to change for various reasons. Because not everything not everything's going to be ready. Not everything has a clear plan, and not everything has a clear path, or like a right way to do things. So it's been an interesting journey trying to like overcome that mindset, but also like I feel like it's affecting me personally a lot lately. So yeah, just a little pause, just wondering if anybody classified as a perfectionist. Hey, Shalom.
Seemed like it was beating your head a little bit. I mean, you know, not literally beaten to your head, but it seems like that's what was instilled in you. So it's like, you know, when you're an impressionable child, like how can you break from that if that's the type of pressure you being put under?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm at a I guess I think about it in two different ways, right? Because I I try to like think about like myself in that situation and like what the other person is thinking. And like we don't realize, just as human beings, we don't realize like the impact that we have on other human beings, right? Especially when it's like a parent to a child, or you know, an adult to a child. Let me just say adult to a child. Um and I think like in some cases, adults may project their wants and their dreams onto their children, or onto the children that they may be taking care of, because they didn't have it, you know, that way. But then they also like, you don't always realize, you know, as adults, what you may be saying to a younger person that may be staying with them for forever, or maybe like in the back of their head. Like that was a moment that took about 2 minutes of my time in my life. That took about 2 minutes of my time in my life, but I vividly remember where I was. I remember what was said. I remember my face like turning from a smile to like a, all right, type of face. So it's very interesting to me, like those moments that kind of like stay with you for the rest of your life. So um so yeah, that's an interesting kind of concept. So yeah, just going back, this is critical. You can be overly critical of yourself and then of other people. So just some tips on how to stop being so hard on yourself. If you are particularly hard on yourself, separate yourself from the problem. It's one thing that's happening in your life. Like just because you mess up, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you like a cruel or evil person. If anything, it makes you more relatable and it gives you the opportunity to learn. Um, try to focus on what says keep it to the issue at hand. But when you notice yourself leaving the current issue and overgeneralizing your mistakes to everything, stop, take a breath, and remind yourself of the issue at hand. So when you mess up, especially people that are overly critical of themselves, when they mess up one time, it's like they messed up in life. Or like we messed up in life. It's like the littlest accident or the littlest issue is like, all right, you messed up everything you did before and everything that you about to do in the future. And that's just not true. Focus on what you did or what you may have, made a mistake at. And you can do what it says you can do. So you can stop, you can take a breath and remind yourself, or you can just be like, okay, move past it. And I have people around me that help me to do that. But you can definitely just pause, see if you can control it, see if you can fix it. If you can, fix it. If you can't, move on. And just kind of keep that thought process. Change to more accurate thoughts. So those assumptions and those products of like overthinking and not doing too much. Just try to take hold of that, shift your thinking for what you did wrong to what you did and do right. So focus on your strengths and focus on your skills. And then act. To get unstuck, use your mistake in a positive way to motivate you, help you shape your goals, and take action to accomplish those goals. So don't let your mistakes like paralyze you. Definitely take it as an opportunity to continue pushing forward. Just a couple of tips. Feel free to add more tips to this, because there's definitely more than just 4 things that you can do. My personal kind of tip is just don't even let it happen. Like as soon as like try to catch that moment in between of when you make a mistake and when you're about to criticize yourself. Like it's about a millisecond, but if you try to like catch it right then, and sometimes like I'll move on to doing something else, or I'll move on to just like another task or whatever. But if you try to just capture that moment in between where that mistake happens and that self-doubt happens, then you can stop all of that being hard on yourself. It rarely happens, but when I do it successfully, it works. So just that's like a personal tip of mine. Amaya, I'll get y'all the slide. Yeah, I can send it to you. So that's Shala and Cami. I'll send it to y'all. And then Amaya says she definitely still feels attacked just a bit. Listen, y'all, don't feel attacked. Okay, don't feel attacked. This is not, if you feel attacked, then I just may be speaking to you, and that means that I'm doing my job. So I hope that like don't feel attacked. And just know that like a lot of what I'm saying out of my mouth, maybe not the topics so much depending on the day, but like a lot of what I say out of my mouth is everything I say out of my mouth, I try to make it intentional, and most of it has like a personal kind of backing on it. And if it doesn't, then like I try my best to relate to like my personal feelings, because I know the inside of myself pretty well. So if I can relate it to myself, then it's easier for me to talk about it. So don't feel attacked, because it's not just you going through this. It's definitely me too. So yeah, don't feel attacked. Miss Joni, any tips on how to stop being hard on yourself, or for a person to stop being hard on themselves?
All right, so two things. So the question that you asked me is for somebody to stop being hard on themselves. I would I would definitely say give yourself a little bit of room and just kind of be compassionate with your own self. Like sometimes it's easier for us to give other people a pass, or to give other people some compassion or show them some forgiveness, but we don't always extend that same thing to ourselves. So I would definitely say that, and in conjunction with that too, know that you are going to have like another chance. Like it's not the end of the world. Now, granted, this is not to be confused with tomorrow is not promised, because I truly believe that tomorrow is not promised to any of us. But when you are working on these situations and you're being overly hard on yourself, know that for the most part, you will have tomorrow to still be able to work on it and to get better and to get things to where you want them to be. So I would definitely say give yourself some compassion and exercise some self-love too. But the other thing that I had wanted to say was this first bullet point that you hit on, this separate yourself from a problem. This is actually a leadership course that we teach, but in the reverse. So instead of me teaching leaders about separating themselves from the problem, we teach people how to separate other people from the problem. And that is a leadership skill that a lot of people across any type of business look for in leaders, because the idea around that is that you can create a better work culture if you handle issues versus having this mentality of having people handling people. So like, for instance, like with me, if somebody makes a mistake or does something wrong or whatever, like I immediately think, about, okay, well, how can I eliminate that problem versus eliminating that person, especially if I believe that that person is a good person at heart or by nature. Now, that's a totally different scenario when you got somebody who's just, trying to be a problem and trying to cause discourse and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, most people are inherently good. And sometimes we could end up treating people too harshly or treating people super bad or degrading them when really it was the problem we should have addressed and not necessarily the person in a harsh way. Now, definitely bring stuff to people's attentions, let them know when they messing up. and all that. But it is a very good practice in leadership to separate those problems from those people and to still be able to maintain respect when you are talking to people when addressing situations.
That's when you said the reverse, that's not where that's not where I thought you were going with that. I don't know where I thought you were going, but that's not where I thought you were going. But I like that, like separating like the people, like separating the issue from the people. I really do like that. So, but in turn, I guess from a leadership perspective, and also like if you're just like a supervisor or manager or whatever, is that making you, is that making the issue yours? Or is that just like, are you focusing on the issue yourself then, or are you just focusing on eliminating it?
No, absolutely not. If it's something that that person need to fix, then I mean, you go ahead and you let that person handle it. But the thing is, you are taking out the negative emotion behind it because you are basically separating that problem in that person. So now you aren't looking at that person as a, oh, you did this, you a bad person, you incompetent, you unprofessional, you disrespectful. You know, it is looking at it like, oh, we got this problem. You a great person. I'm sure that if you could have prevented the mistake or whatever, you would have. Um, Still appreciate you, still want you on the team, but how do we fix this problem? And you are focusing on that problem. So the problem and the person are literally two different issues, two different things.
Got you. Thank you for explaining that further. Um, Amaya says she definitely is a perfectionist. Hey, Kamaya, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that you can relate to it on a personal level. CB said definitely can relate to this session from school, relationships, or just being hard on myself just because I know I can do better. Thank you, TB, for sharing. Kamaya said, I just want you guys to know that you only push me to go harder with everything that I do. Like I'm having a little situation with my family and you guys always bring me back. I can honestly say I feel I have a safe and open family with all the heartbeats. You guys are really amazing people and outstanding leaders. Oh, thanks, Kamaya. That Miss Jody's icebox, y'all. Y'all about to melt. I'm kidding. It's a little defrosted, but it's okay. But no, I just Kamaya, when I saw your face for the first time on Friday, like I was so like happy because I just been talking to you like this way for a couple of weeks. And when I saw your face on Friday, I was like, oh, that's Kamaya. And now like I can see you like on Instagram and stuff like that. And thank you just for sharing that, but also just like in reverse, Kamaya, we are absolutely grateful and happy to have you as part of the family. So thank you for sharing. Yeah. Okay. Make sure I don't cry on that session. All right. So another quality of a perfectionist, procrastination. So that idea, so we talk about like, you know, fear of failure, and over here on this image is like the procrastination cycle. It says procrastinate, feel guilty, panic, make excuses, and it's just one big circle because it just continues to happen. Maybe not in that particular order, but it just keeps happening, and it doesn't stop. So nothing gets done. And so perfectionists procrastinate because they don't want to fail, basically. So like they're given a task, they low-key may think that they either can't do the task or they can't do it to that high standard. So as a result, they just don't do it. They do it the day is due, or they do it like at the last minute, or they just like literally become paralyzed. Like Nope. So just being aware of this kind of procrastination like mindset, like perfectionism is not the only reason that people procrastinate. People procrastinate for a lot of reasons, trust me. But it can be one of the reasons that procrastination happens. And then, you know, just kind of to talk more about this cycle a little bit more as far as feeling guilty, you may just like have that kind of guilt feeling. I'm I'm more around in the panic phase of this, the feeling guilty not too much, but I'm in like the panic phase, and it might not be explicit, but on the inside, like I'd be like, oh my God, like it's a whole situation. So yeah, you may panic and then making excuses. So with this, you're gonna hear people say like, oh, I didn't do it because I didn't have enough time. But baby, you had 2 months. Or like I didn't do it because I didn't have enough supplies. You could have asked. Like it you constantly hear, just kind of those excuses. So just being aware of this. Perfectionists can also be defensive, so not very receptive to constructive criticism a lot of times, or just criticism in general. So like if they did something or they're striving for a certain thing, and somebody just gives them like just valid feedback. They're like, well, okay, no. Well, this happened because, and I just want to explain to you, this is why this happened. And this is, why this outcome happened and all of that. And it doesn't have to be like defensive, like violent, like defensive, but you'll just continue to hear kind of along with those excuses. They kind of go hand in hand, like being defensive and then those excuses. Just like not being able to receive that, especially that constructive criticism. Now, if somebody's just criticizing you just to criticize you, that's a different story. But like that constructive criticism, they can be defensive. So just a quick question, like, when do you find, I guess, in a more like professional setting or in a school setting, when people are the most defensive? And I'll start with my answer. I feel like people become defensive either, I'm going to speak from like a personal perspective, like I become, defensive when I feel like I'm being insulted, or when somebody is like messing with somebody that's close to me or that I love. As far as like being defensive from a perfectionism perspective, it happens sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time, but especially like if I'm in a position where I feel like nobody's understanding why I made the choice that I made, then it can be kind of a not a battle, but I might just say something back like, that's not what happened, this is why it happened. So yeah. Miss Joni, when do you find that people can be the most defensive?
From a personal perspective, definitely like when people try and play with my heartbeats. Like that's probably the only time that you will probably see me out of character. Like the only time. Like what was that? Like last year when that man tried to play with Coach Johnson. Like, yo, I was really about to lay hands on that man for real. Like Principal Miller and them, they still be joking me about that because they like, Miss Joni, we never seen you lose your cool, never ever. I'm like, play with one of my kids. Play with one of my kids. So yeah, like that's about, pretty much kind of like the only time, like you play with one of my kids or my family or whatever. But you know, other than that, when you know who you are, other people can't tell you. So it's like, defensive for what? Defensive for who? Like, walk out of that door so fast. Bye.
These scissors come every day. The scissors just come every day. Thank you, Miss Joni, for sharing. I kind of had a similar story with Coach Johnson. Not all the way up to like me really getting out of character, but he did have to like hold like my shoulders at one point because basically we were talking about, this was the time when he was talking about like school and like what he was going to do for school and stuff like that. And we were we were at a school and he was like, no, because the admissions people like told me this and they were trying to play with me and stuff. And he showed me like the things, like I wasn't just going, you know, he showed me the things. And I was like, oh no, we're going to go up there right now because we're right here. And da 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 da. And he was like, Miss Mo, chill. And I said, no, because if they're trying to not, you know, admit you and they're not trying to do all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. He was like, you need to chill. And I was like, no, I don't need to chill because they're playing with you and they're telling you false information and I don't like it. But yeah, no, when you said his name, it reminded me of that because I had a whole 2 minutes of just like, I don't even know what it was, but just a whole 2 minutes. Cam said she thinks people are the most offensive when you don't want us to be seen in a certain light. Yeah. So yeah, Cam, kind of going with that thing that I said about like, I feel defensive when people like try to insult me. Like when you feel like a person is perceiving you as a certain way that you don't want to be perceived as, you can definitely be defensive. But then you can kind of take Miss Joni's approach, and I suggested you take Miss Joni's approach with, if you know who you are, then can't nobody else tell you otherwise. So yeah. And then just this quote about like learning from your mistakes. So more, or just being defensive also, more people would learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them. So just being aware of like your mistakes and holding and being accountable for your mistakes and being accountable for where you may have fallen short. You can definitely take it as an opportunity to learn something, and you know for next time not to approach it that way. This is the kind of in between. So competitive. Some people, you know, feel negatively about competition, and some people feel positively about competition. Perfectionists can be definitely competitive, and it can push them to be greater, or it can push them to be just a flop. And you kind of have to kind of judge if you're going to be like, you know, the competitor, the kind of that healthy competition, a product of that healthy competition. So maybe like, you know, having a healthy competition with your friends about grades, or, you know, who can sell the most or something like that. But then you have that unhealthy competition where you're just constantly trying to outdo somebody, constantly trying to show somebody up, constantly like getting a big head, and that's an issue. So yeah. And then just on that opposite end of perfectionism. So that was kind of our like transition. We talked about like the cons, and then these are like the pros. Perfectionists, or people that classify as perfectionists, can be like super efficient. So this is where we talk about using some of those qualities and just channeling them into like good energy. So they can be super efficient, well organized, and they can keep up and create order in like chaotic environments, because they kind of strive for, you know, just that good outcome and that good product. They want everybody else in line and working as a team to achieve like that common goal. Attention to detail. So, you know, perfection doesn't exist, but someone who may classify as a perfectionist, because of that, they're always paying attention to details. They're the people, and I'll be one to say like they read things over, read things 5 times, 10 times, just to make sure they don't have an error, or make sure that it sounds right or comes off right. And so that can be helpful. It can be, you know, crippling at times, but it can also be helpful. So very precise, constantly checks over work, and they can catch errors. So yeah. They can be very knowledgeable. So just striving to be greater and striving to attain good things. They learn about everything, or we learn about everything. So things in areas that we may not know as well. We're looking up, we're researching, we're trying to like know as much as possible so we know how things can operate, so we know how things can go and how things can flow the best. So they can be very just intelligent people. And not necessarily like intelligent as far as book smarts, because definitely can be book smarts, but just like an intelligent person and just kind of like knows what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So yeah, Ken said I'm doing a healthy competition with my friend about who's going to be valedictorian. You know, talk about tell her give it up. Honestly, truly, tell her give it up, Ken. Honestly, because you finna be valedictorian. It is what it is. And then perfectionists can be accepting of challenges. So we talked about like the procrastination aspect and kind of like becoming numb. So you can, you know, take a situation and kind of be like, okay, this is out of my control. I don't want to fail, so I'm just not going to do it. Or you can accept that particular challenge, take it as an opportunity to learn and take it as an opportunity to level up, because we're constantly striving for something greater. We're constantly striving for, you know, just kind of that just best product that we can possibly get. It in accepting challenges, you can those can be like steps forward to that goal and steps forward to that best product that's possible. Not that perfect product, but that product that can be something good and something that you can use. So yeah, I wonder, like, for those, and I know Amaya, you had said that you classify as a perfectionist. So are there any qualities that you think that we missed today? And anybody else that classifies as a perfectionist as well? Let's talk about like the pros and like things that we can utilize to help like make us better. You can definitely mention some of the cons, but let's try to talk about some of the pros. So yeah, if you do kind of classify as a perfectionist, don't let it like cripple you. Use it as like good energy, use it to do good things in this world. Um, so yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop sharing my screen. I gotta come back. Okay. And just to end this off today, when was a time when you accepted a challenge and it allowed you to level up? Um, I will start us off. So, I feel like, and I feel like I use this. I'm trying to think of which. Okay, so I'm actually gonna use this other example. So I was a host at a restaurant at one point in time, and it was hilarious to me. Like that whole job was just like enjoyable for me, even though it was a lot, it was long hours and it was just a lot going on all the time. But it was just like overall it was enjoyable and overall it was funny, right? So there was a time, mind you, I said it was a host. I was not a manager, I was not a server, even though I acted as a server sometimes, but like I was a host. So I had to I had to like run the restaurant one day. It was like crazy. Like we had a lot of people on the wait list. It was like a Friday or a Saturday night. It was definitely a weekend night. It was a lot going on. Everybody was yelling. Like everybody that was on the clock that night was yelling. Managers yelling. Servers yelling. Everybody coming up fussing to us like, "Where's our chairs?" Da, 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 da. So there was another host up at the front, and I was like on at the front of the house, still at the front of the house, but where the tables were like busting tables and stuff. And there was a time where like I heard on my walkie-talkie, like one of my manager was like, Morgan, you need to go up to the front of the restaurant right now. You need to get it together. And I'm like, what you mean I gotta get it together? Like, you're the manager. Like, it's not my responsibility to do any of this. But that's initially what I thought. And I was like, you know what, Morgan, you're a pretty good host. Like, just do what you can do. And so I went up there. I mean, I feel like I didn't have a choice at that moment in time because he was kind of a hothead, so he might have fired me, who knows. But I went up there and I was somehow, some way, the restaurant was fine. Everybody stopped yelling. Everybody got seated and we ended the night and we closed on time, and like everything was like pretty good. So that allowed me to kind of show my leadership, and my leadership shined through from that. And as a result, like when I went into the restaurant, like the managers had like a trust in me, and I had a trust within myself that like whatever challenge, because when I tell you that night was a hot mess, it was a hot mess, but whatever challenge kind of came my way, I was able to overcome that. Johnny, you can share if you want. I know we're like at time, but if you have a quick
Yeah, no, it's crazy because I mean, nowadays I'm kind of in this space where I create my own challenges. So it's like, I do something and it's like, dang, how am I going to do it? And, do it, level up. But in terms of back of the day, pretty much like my whole McDonald's career, Comcast career for real, because people was coming to me a lot, asking me to take on different positions and asking me to do new things and stuff like that. So with that, it really just forced me to level up from a leadership perspective, because things that I was being asked to do really wasn't about me personally. It was about how can I impact the team and how could I help other people grow and perform as great as I was performing, because people have recognized like it's cool to have, a Joni Hollifield who could do all things, who could meet all metrics, and, who was basically being this overachiever per se. But how much better would it be to have her kind of duplicate that? And I was just, kind of going through my career, hearing that as a constant theme, like people saying, how can I duplicate myself? And so like that really, really put me in a position to just like learn from experience in terms of leadership and how to handle other people and how to create cultures where people are able to find the best version of themselves. That was something I used to, always tell them too, like, look, this ain't about me duplicating myself because it's only one JH, but I can help other people find the best version of themselves and to help them execute once they've actually found that for themselves. So that was for me.
Thanks, Miss Johnny. Just real quick, Amaya said, my school has leadership classes, but they stopped for my grade at like 8th. Cam said, my own challenge to be consistent with being a part of HeartSmiles. Yeah, she goes to Baltimore Leadership. And Kamai said, I have so many challenges that I want to set and so many that I want to overcome, and you will. Just recognize like challenges, like, all right, they little bumps in the road. Like when you're in a car and you like, or wherever in a vehicle and you go over, bumps in the road, literally, okay, it's a little jolt, it might hurt, you might, kind of move around a little bit, but then you keep moving forward regardless. So just kind of take it as that. You'll always overcome any kind of challenge that comes to you. So yeah. My jewel today is don't let perfectionism break you down, because it can be you can be in a position where it breaks you down, but don't allow it to happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Mom. That's a great jewel.
You're welcome.
Yo, boy, the money today.
All right. money. Love
today.
y'all.
Bye. We'll see you tomorrow at 12. Yo, Miss Mo put the money or what? Man, listen, another great day, yo. And look, everything turned around in less than like an hour for Ma. So for anybody that was concerned, first of all, thank you guys for your calls and for what you did, because I'm pretty sure that that put more heat onto the fire. But I was getting text messages pretty much kind of like the whole time. And they like, yo, things resolved. Like we back good. So our boy Ma, we ain't got nothing to worry about. People found out who implanted some of those lies, and they did that quick. They did that quick. So we basically kind of went through a whole situation, y'all, of what people talk about. Like we just experienced it, but we just went through what people talk about when they say how the media implant lies and, you know, how they do things to distort a story or turn it around or something like that. But, you know, thank you for being so diligent. Thank you guys for caring. And, you know, thank you, Ma, for keeping your head up, you know, because he could have easily just bowed down and, you know, rolled over. But, you know, he stuck to it and they got to the bottom of it. And I sent my screenshots in too. Sent my screenshots, sent my text messages, all that. Like, here you go. Like, how much more do you need? And like, this is only even a small portion of what I had. Like, I'm only just giving y'all this just real quick on the fly because I'm doing a live session. But you know, they like, no, we good, we good, we good now. So thank you guys so much. Like, that's how you move the needle. That's how you make change, y'all. And that's how you pave the way for other people. Nobody should be fearful going to school, especially if you just want to go to school to get your education. You should be able to do that. All right. So that situation is in the books. Just to kind of wrap up again on those opportunities that I talked about. So I'm going to wait a little bit before I post it on Instagram because I want to give my success session people a chance to hop on it first. So I'm gonna go through them again real quick before we close out for the day. So the first one is the Youth Works opportunity. Think of this one as you are going to be helping the city of Baltimore prepare what the virtual youth work situation is going to look like for kids in Baltimore. Like if you start this, you basically going to be starting like next week. And what the work is going to be work from home, and you are going to help them revamp a learning portal. And this learning portal is going to be the portal that youth works workers are going to use as their work site over the summer. So the portal is already built, but it has to be revamped to be user-friendly for young people. So you're going to be given recommendations on what type of video to add, what type of content to add, how to modify the content. Some of the content and stuff right now that exists are simple things like how to build your resume and customer service and things like that. So you guys are going to be saying, oh, we think this is something that Baltimore's youth would need, and we think that these colors should change, or we think that these type of videos should be created in order to capture and maintain the interests of young people. So you're basically going to be kind of revamping this whole thing, and that's going to be your job. It's important that it is leaders who take this position, because this is going to be a position where ain't nobody going to be on your back basically telling you what to do. Ain't nobody going to be checking up with you to make sure that you did your part. We're going to be trusting that you did your part. We're going to be trusting that you're working on it during the times that you say that you're working on it. And we're going to be basically trusting you to really come back and to give some fruitful and meaningful input in terms as to how this portal can be effectively used this summer. Cam, do I think you could do another project? Oh my gosh. Yo, you got so much on your plate. You know what? Considering that it's a short time frame and it's not necessarily long term, I think that you can, but keep in mind that it is going to pull away more from, you know, like your personal life, whatever personal life you got now, which I can imagine is a lot, but it's definitely going to require a few more hours from you out the week. And I think they're looking to cap the hours to something like, it might be like 10 or 15 hours a week or something like that. Don't quote me on that just yet, but it is going to be a cap on the amount of hours. And that's why we're trying to get at least 20 young people to work on this. So that way it's not just like 1 or 2 people working on it. But it is going to be a big project. It's a major project. And it's something that when you get your name on this type of stuff, you'll be able to put on your resume that you helped the city of Baltimore create the virtual model for YouthWorks during COVID-19. That's a big, big deal because not only is this something that we're going to be doing in Baltimore, but this could potentially be a national model. Like this could be something that other cities and other states might want to look at doing. So to be able to have your name on that list, to be able to say that you are a part of that with this global pandemic going on and you were part of the solution as to why we were able to keep summer jobs going. Because don't get it twisted, the city of Baltimore are they are very committed to making sure that young people are able to have a job this summer. Most young people will have virtual jobs, and that's where y'all come in if you decide to do this project, because you're going to be helping to create that platform where their virtual job will exist. And some young people, very, very few, are going to be able to safely go to physical locations. But that's the one opportunity. So I'll have a link and everything ready for that later. So anybody who's interested in that, just hit me up and I'll send you that link. If I don't get the 20 that I need from folks who regularly attend success sessions, then I'll go ahead and post it on Instagram to the general public. You know, I don't like the general public, but I'll do it if I don't get 20 from here. TB said, I live out of state, but can I? Oh, thank you for bringing that up, TB. It would have been cool because you live out of state. You definitely could have been, but the biggest criteria with this one is that you would have had to previously participated in YouthWorks in Baltimore. And the only reason for that is because that's the system that they're going to use to pay you. So, so if you did not participate, if you have never participated in YouthWorks with Baltimore City, then unfortunately you wouldn't be able to do this particular job. But if you have participated with YouthWorks in the past with Baltimore City, then you would definitely be eligible. Ken, the youth committee meetings are only on Wednesdays now, so it's getting better to balance things, and schoolwork is getting lighter. Hey, listen, I say go for it then. I say go for it. I mean, because right now you are basically building up your resume, and at such a young age, like it is going to be amazing for you to be able to say, you know, you've partnered with these different entities with Hopkins, and then now with the city of Baltimore, and to be a part of something that's the first, like that's always a big deal. And that's why part of me is so ecstatic and so excited about this, because they could have picked any nonprofit or any community organization in Baltimore to partner with them and to help them with this. They could have picked any organizations. It's so many more organizations. I'm not gonna say they doing more work than us, but they got more money than us and they bigger than us. They could have picked any one of them, but they came here because they trust the leaders. They trust the leadership of the young people that we produce. Like, and that right there is the highest compliment ever. Like, they not just looking for random kids off the street to go and work on this. No, they're looking for kids who are leaders and who are able to help lead themselves as well as lead others as part of the team. So it's definitely a big thing. Chaos, you could feel Chaos Movies leveling up from all this. Absolutely. Yo, and you work on a project that's connected with the city and you got a product to sell, yo, city government employees, Smoothie Day, yo, you can go and do some of their events and all that. It's just like, yo, the opportunities are endless. The opportunities are definitely endless. So yeah, I'm with that. So that's the first opportunity, y'all, the YouthWorks. The second opportunity is with our partners with Hip Hop public health. This one is a big one for people who are interested in music. Did y'all ever get my man's, I'ma pass the mic, did y'all ever get him on one of these sessions? Because he is so talented in terms of music, but the sad thing is he ain't never gonna go nowhere if he not investing in himself and if he's not investing into his craft and into his music. So we definitely got to get him on here, but it's so much talent in Baltimore, but I'm not going to be able to put just any and everybody on this project because you're going to be working with some iconic artists. Like when we were on the phone we talking about people, and I know this might be before y'all time, but we talking about people like DMC. We talking about people like Puff Daddy. We talking about people like LL Cool J. Like we talking about icons. Ashanti, Justin Timberlake. We're talking about icons here, people. So, of course, the music is going to be all positive music, you know, all with a positive message around health and all that. But it's a great, great, great opportunity for people who are interested in music to get your foot in the door and to establish your platform amongst some of the greats. Like you can always, you know, venture off and do some of the things that you want to do with your music specifically once you actually get in the door. But just to be at that type of table and to be working on something, to be on the same track with somebody as iconic as like a LL Cool J, ain't no amount of money gonna be able to buy you that. But again, I'm only recommending people and artists who are investing in themselves. So I'm not saying that success sessions are the only way to invest in yourself, but it's a good way and it's an easy way and it's a way that I trust. So if there's other artists out there who you guys know of, if they doing something else during the day, that's okay. That's okay, but their leadership can't be on the half. And I gotta be able to trust you to go in the rooms with these iconic type of people and not make us look like a daggone fool, not embarrass you, and daggone sure not embarrass me. So as far as these artists and stuff are concerned, artists, y'all need to get here. So if y'all got friends who are artists and y'all know that they're gonna wanna be involved in a big project like that, bring them here because stuff is happening in the background to bring all of those things together so that we can make something really, really happen for the young artists in Baltimore. Let's see. Oh, TB, you need something? Look, baby, we got you. We got you. I know you out of state. We're gonna find something for you. You know, I love the fact that you stay connected, even though you're not here. Keep coming, keep coming. We're gonna find something for you. Okay, so yeah, yo, Cam, I love Kamaya success sessions. Like, ain't she just the best, yo? Yo, I love people, yo, who get it, yo, and they want to do more and they step up and they actually do more, not just talking about it, but really being about it. So definitely much love to you, Kamaya success session. Yo, say I love R&B. You are crazy. All right, and then the last thing is remember Mr. Seth, who was on yesterday and talked about agriculture. And remember, he said that he was helping to build out or expand this urban farm called Bliss Meadows. Well, the owner of Bliss Meadows hit me up because she saw the session yesterday with Mr. Seth. And she said, if anybody is interested in that type of work, that agriculture, farming, all that, she was like, she'll take any of our kids to go and get their hands dirty and do that work. I'm not getting my hands dirty. I might go put on some gloves or something like that. I might just watch what's going on with the seeds. But if you're interested in that type of stuff, definitely it's a great connection to have. Her name is Miss Atia. So I can connect you guys with her. And we invited her on a success session too. So hopefully if her schedule allows, we'll be able to get her on in like the first or the second week of June for her to be able to come. So those are the opportunities, y'all get first dibs at them. Let me know if it's something that you're interested in. But other than that, y'all, we done had a great day. We done had a great day. You already know what it is, yo. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Success sessions, yo. You want to be successful? this is where you start. Like, yo, this is where you need to be. You want opportunities and stuff. Yo, this is where you need to be. I'm so sick and tired of people whining and crying and complaining about they broke. It ain't nothing to do. They so bored, all this and all that. Nah, at this point, being bored is a choice. Being broke is a choice. Just like being successful. At this point, it's a choice. It's a choice. So stop complaining and do something about it. I'm going to see y'all, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I hope y'all have an amazing day for the rest of your day. Do something productive. Do something your future self is going to thank you for. And I'll see y'all tomorrow right here at 10 o'clock, Success Sessions.